and principalities.
There's so much fire inside me.
Tragedy struck when part of the largest hillside at the kosher rubbish dump collapsed.
It's going to be fun to see how he goes about approaching this game.
We table issues relating to the arts and entertainment for a riveting discussion, of course, without fear nor favor.
The question the presenter asked them was a dumb question. You need to speak the fact and move.
Varied views. We agree to disagree.
So I would disagree with everything you said. I think that he's a smart guy. I think what he did.
No, but I also said he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
I guess that I'm waiting for the what next.
Yeah, I don't think that we have to wait for what next.
It sometimes gets confrontational, but that's the beauty of the game.
Today you deny funny face.
It's not my brother.
Today you deny funny face.
I don't know him.
You don't know funny face.
It's not my brother.
You don't know funny face.
It's a package. We meet, we sit, we dialogue, we learn, we progress. My name is Benefo Huabin Abrantepa, a proud blogger, and this is my forum.
Regulatory institutions and agencies.
The Chief Imam and clergy, Greater Accra Regional Minister, members of the Council of State, Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Minister for the Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, current and former ministers of state, chairpersons and members of parliament's select committees on lands, forestry, environment and mining, current and former members of parliament, heads of our security services, representatives of political parties, representatives of civil society organizations, president and members of the National House of Chiefs and traditional rulers, president and members of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, president and members of the Small Scale Miners Association, members of the Diplomatic Corps, fellow Ghanaians, ladies and gentlemen. I thank the energetic new Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, the Honorable Samuel Abujinapo, Member of Parliament for Damango, for convening this national consultative dialogue on small-scale mining, and for the invitation to deliver these remarks. We have come from far and near, and from across the political divide, because of the importance we attach to the subject matter, and because of our collective determination to find a convergence of minds on the way forward. My views on the matter are well known and well documented. However, certain occurrences, especially in the run-up to the election of 7th December last, have inspired my insistence on the whole nation having a national conversation on Galamsey, and I thank each and every one of you for making it to this consultative dialogue. I want to begin by emphasizing one point. Mining can create jobs, mining can improve livelihoods, and mining can generate wealth. But it cannot and must not do so at the expense of damaging the very environment that produces the riches. We have to acknowledge that Ghana is not made up only of the humans, but is also made up of the soil, the mountains and valleys, the forests, the rivers, the lakes, the seas, and the plant and animal life as well. Without them, we humans cannot and will not survive. And so they also need nurturing. We have to acknowledge that the natural environment has as much right to be here as we humans do. In many parts of the world, stories abound of wildlife returning to rivers and lakes, parks and gardens, and even to some town and village centers as people retreated into lockdowns or cut back on open public activities because of COVID-19. There is clearly a contest between us, humans, and the natural environment, and it is a lesson we must collectively confront. We must adapt to coexisting in peace and harmony with nature. This is the time to help rejuvenate our land, the time to take a careful look at how we use the land, the time to revisit our farming and building practices, and yes, the time to address the issue of Galamsey. I've said it on many occasions, and it is worth repeating. The Almighty has blessed us with precious minerals in our land. It is not surprising, therefore, that mining has always been part of our lives. There is nothing wrong with mining or trying to exploit the minerals we have been blessed with to develop our country. A substantial part of the revenues of the central government comes from mining. Indeed, the central government is always trying to find innovative ways to maximize the earnings from mining in order to provide public infrastructure. Families, too, depend on incomes from mining activities to put food on the table. Mining becomes problematic and dangerous when methods employed pose a danger to the land, the water bodies, and the very lives of the people. Mining becomes a danger to the society when, after extracting the gold, diamond, or other stones and minerals, the land is left degraded and poisoned with toxic minerals. The water bodies are turned into entities that can no longer support life, and plants and fish cannot survive in our rivers. Mining becomes a danger to the society when the sites are abandoned, leaving behind craters filled with mercury and other poisons, which cannot support any more fauna or plant life. We have had beautiful and majestic rivers and streams. Today, there's not much to celebrate about the pra or the brim, and there's not much to be excited about over our famed thick forests and the animals that inhabit them. Unacceptable mining and logging practices have laid them to waste. When I called for a national conversation on Galamsey, which eventually has led to the holding of this dialogue on the theme Sustainable Small-Scale Mining for National Development, it is not because I have any doubts about the need to protect our lands and our environment. It is because I want us to have a consensus on a sustainable method of mining the minerals in our land. We cannot have one part of the political divide campaigning for Galamsey in the bush and the other waging an official fight against Galamsey in the open. We must demonstrate that we love our land and are capable of taking care of it ourselves. We do not need foreigners to campaign for the protection of Ghanaian land, our inheritance. We do not need special interest groups to campaign for the protection of Ghanaian soil, flora, and fauna. It is the land of our birth. It is the land we inhabit. It is the land that supports our lands, our lives, and livelihoods. It is the land we named Ghana at independence 64 years ago. And we, the Ghanaian people, must be its best protectors. We must mean it when we sing with pride, Ura Musong, Yea Assassine, Abodie Maye, Mojana Nananu Shweguye, Nede Atoho Amaye. This is our land. It is dear to us. Our forebears gave their blood so we would inherit it. Fellow Ghanaians, it is absolutely crucial that deliberations of this consultative dialogue be candid and devoid of partisanship or narrow parochial interests. Hopefully, at the end of the day, we should be able to build a broad-based national consensus around the necessity to stamp out the menace of illegal small-scale mining and the need to support and grow responsible small-scale mining. There are aspects of our national life which are fair subject matters of partisan politics. We must, however, come to the understanding that small-scale mining and the requirement to do away with the illegalities in that sector should be beyond partisan politics. Some subjects simply cannot be part of our everyday politicking. And I urge this forum to insist that illegal small-scale mining and matters relating to it should be one of such issues requiring national effort. Government has a major responsibility to this end, as we are accountable for the stewardship of this sector, as indeed we are of all other sectors of national life. I am determined to enforce the laws on illegal mining, no matter the subject, high or low. I will, however, not act on hearsay or mere allegations without more. I will not hesitate to act, though, where the evidence is hard before the police, and I will do so irrespective of the standing of the person or persons involved. That is the true meaning of equality before the law. We want to build on the modest programs made in my first term. We want to learn from our shortcomings and receive productive inputs from this forum for purposes of enhancing the regulation of the sector. Out of this maiden consultative dialogue, I hope we will build a national consensus around a national policy on small-scale mining that promotes a responsible, viable, environmentally sustainable small-scale mining industry, which has discarded the use of mercury, champhines, and excavators, which has barred the involvement of foreign nationals, and which has rejected the destruction of our forests, environment, and water bodies. This vision of what small-scale mining should be must have the support of the entire nation. I urge this colloquium to be bold and forthright in its deliberations. In other words, say it as it is. No subject or person should be above critique. Politicians, traditional authorities, policymakers, media, so-called influential people should all not be beyond your scrutiny. At the end of the day, what the Ghanaian people expect from this process are solutions which will assist in dealing with this endemic problem. I have confidence in the integrity of the people gathered in this room, and I'm sure that out of your deliberations, a workable blueprint will be produced. Accordingly, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Ghanaians, I declare the first national consultative dialogue on small-scale mining duly launched, and I wish you well. And I wish you well in your discussions. May God bless us all in our homeland Ghana and make her great and strong. I thank you for your attention.
You may another resounding round of applause. It is always an edifying experience listening to you, Mr. President. Your remarks have made such an indelible imprint on us, and I believe it will serve as enough fodder for the deliberations ahead. I know this all too well because looking around, I see a healthy complement of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Lands and Natural Resources. Let's give them a resounding round of applause. The President pleads with all of us to lend our full support to today's agenda as the Honorable Inusaf Husseini, former Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, chairs the first plenary. Isn't that nice? Please, another round of applause. It will be remiss of me not to acknowledge our very esteemed traditional rulers here, led by the President of the President of the National House of Chiefs, who is the Paramount Chief of Sifi, Ahmiaso Traditional Area, or Jiaoho Yaojebi II. To this end, I believe all that needs to be said has been said, all that needs to be done will be done, but it will not be done until we invoke the blessing of God Almighty on this great venture. Please rise with me as we receive the Chief Imam, Dr. Sheikh Usman Nuru Shaributu, as he invokes the blessings of Allah.
مرفع مقتك وقلبك عنا ولا تؤاخذنا بما فعل السفهاء منا اللهم احفظ رئيس جمهورية غانا نانا لونغا كفالو اللهم احفظ رئيس جمهورية غانا نانا كفالو بسر لو انزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله ما يشركون هو الله الخالق البارئ والمصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم اللهم احفظ رئيسنا جمهورية غانا نانا أكفالو اللهم احفظ رئيسنا جمهورية غانا نانا أكفالو بسر لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله آمين
آمين. الصلاة على النبي.
To this end, we say, may God bless you, the President of the Republic. May God bless this consultative assembly, and may God bless our homeland, Ghana, and make her great and strong. Ladies and gentlemen, we plead with you to please remain still as the President of the Republic exchanges pleasantries and thereafter proceeds to the exhibition. We shall break for 15 minutes for refreshments and reconvene to begin the business of the day with the first plenary.
This is GBC News and GTV. My name is Sarah Furi. Buckingham Palace on Friday 9th April announced the passing of the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, His Royal Highness Prince Philip, at age 99. He was married to the Queen, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, for 73 years. Since the news of his passing, tributes have been rife across the globe. And today we are here to speak with a former Ghanaian leader who we are told had a personal relationship with the Prince or the Duke of Edinburgh, and at some time they were considered to be buddies. Your Excellency John Ejekum Kufuor, we are so delighted to have you share your thoughts with us.
Welcome and thank you to my home.
Okay, and so how close a buddy would you say you two were?
Buddy might not be the right word to use, but I would say I was honored to be an acquaintance, especially when I assumed office as President of Ghana, because of our membership of the Commonwealth, and also from the many international occasions in which I had to take part, and he also happened to be there, either escorting the Queen or representing the Queen of Britain. And so we got to know each other well. And even after I stepped down from office as president, I think he visited Ghana on one of his projects. And again, I had the occasion to ride with him, drive with him, and exchange pleasantries. Acquaintance, good acquaintance, but not a buddy. Buddy would mean like
informal.
Informal and sharing a glass of beer or something occasionally.
Okay.
I didn't get that close with him.
So if you would recall, what was your first encounter with him?
Well, way back as a student in Britain, I studied in Britain from 1959 to 64. I returned to Ghana 65 January. There was a place, and I believe it's still there, called the Cumberland Lodge near the Windsor Castle. This place is an old palace or castle in the Windsor Great Park, and quite close to where the Duke used to play polo. I remember in my student days in London being invited in those times to the Cumberland Lodge for a weekend. And on one occasion, I think the Duke's team was playing polo in the Great Park, and we were invited to go and watch. And that was, I think, my first time of seeing him. That time, I was a student, about 21, 22. So that's when I saw him for the first time. Of course, I was impressed with his skill as a horseman and also a polo player. And then along the way, it took quite a while though, I came into politics. I became the Deputy Foreign Minister of Ghana, 1969 to 72. And I had the privilege of also seeing him through the Commonwealth Organization. And, but still, he was a bit high up. I was just a young politician, an upstart if you want to use that word. Then eventually I became president of Ghana. And 2001. So I attended the Commonwealth meetings, summits, I think, during which he attended with the Queen being the head of the Commonwealth. And any occasions I think we attended the summits, he would escort the Queen. Occasionally, but I would say very occasionally, when the Queen perhaps could not make it, it would be the Duke representing her. And so there we met, and he was that type of person, not too formal. He didn't stand to ceremony too much. He'd walk to you, ask you how you're doing, ask about your country and that sort of thing. So we got talking. And then eventually, I think in 2007, I got the invitation for a state visit to Great Britain. And when we landed in London, there was an honor guard for me at the Horse Guards Parade, which is right behind the Prime Minister's 10 Downing Street area. That's the former place for the honor guards being stayed by the Queen for visitors.
Soldiers, and the Duke of Edinburgh will be the man who will take him forward to perform that duty. Very close to here, the greatest tragedy in the history of the band occurred. It was playing in the Guards Chapel of Wellington Barracks when a German flying bomb hit it. Over 120 people were killed, including the director of music. Bands played all over the world since 1945. Go on that inspection.
I was there with my wife, and of course the Queen came with the Duke and Prime Minister and all the dignitaries of Britain to meet me and my entourage. When the guard was put up and I had to inspect, the Queen remained on the dais, and it was the Duke that escorted me to inspect the guard. It was an impressive occasion for me. And then after that, I rode in the royal coach with the Queen, of course with the Duke following. by another coach. Into Buckingham Palace, my wife and I were the guests of the Queen, and of course, supported by the Duke. We stayed with them in the Buckingham Palace for 3 days. And at the end of the 3 days, the Queen gave us a big banquet attended by, I think, about 175 dignitaries, ambassadors, lords, prime ministers, and so forth. The interesting thing was the banquet was, I believe, on the 3rd floor or so of the palace. And there's a long flight of steps together. There was also a lift, an elevator, I would say a rather old elevator. And whilst the Queen and my wife had gotten to the 3rd floor, the Duke had to take me with him through this lift to get there. Unfortunately, as the elevator got halfway, he got stuck. And then, typical of the Duke, he started yelling for, I believe, the houseman who was maintaining it. Brown, Brown, get us out of here. Get us down. The machine won't go up. And so Mr. Brown rushed around, ran down the way. We could hear him, rushing with a crank to sort of crank the lift to put us back to the ground floor. And when we got there, Mr. Brown, the mechanic of sorts, quickly repaired the lift, and it was ready to take us back up. But then the Duke turned on me, "We going?" So I looked at it, and I wasn't sure that that ancient thing could take us to 3rd floor. So I said, "I'd rather walk the steps." So I said, "All right." And then we started walking, but to my surprise, and he's about almost 18 years or even 20 years older than me. But this guy could walk the 3 flight of steps without holding on to the rail.
So energetic.
The rail, very strong, erect and strong. With my kente on, always struggled. I wanted to use the railings, but because he was doing it without help, and given the age differential, I thought I should. By the time I got to the 3rd floor, I was wheezing.
You're panting for breath.
And wheezing for breath. So that's an experience. And he was also always ready to laugh. He was very, in a way, so informal. And then another occasion I should remember was when the Chatham House, Chatham House as an institute, declared me as leadership winner of the Times. And so I was invited formally for the award. Ordinarily, the Queen, being the host or hostess, should have done me that honor. But rather, Queen couldn't make it, so it was the Duke that presented the award to me. And I went with my wife. In fact, Otumfo Asantehene attended the occasion. It was another very big occasion. And the Duke came graciously to present the award, and we took pictures and that sort of thing. So I came to know him, his family, of course, the Queen I met several times, their children, Prince Charles, Princess Anne, and the younger princess, I met all of them. So this is
how your first encounter went.
Yes.
So, but I'd say that he had a great sense of humor.
Very much. That one,
that he could even pass jokes that would make you blush sometimes.
Blush? I don't know.
Some silly jokes, I mean.
Well, what I would say of him is that he was very forthright with his opinions. And he was a soldier and not given to too much ceremony, as I said. So he spoke directly and openly, and I believe with some candor. If he didn't understand it, he would let you know. If he didn't, appreciate it, he will let you know. That's how I saw him.
So would you agree that he always had a relaxed approach to issues compared with the Queen who...
Please, I couldn't compare him with his wife.
Yes.
The Queen is the Queen.
Yes.
And so when you are head of state, you have to respect your security and protocol.
Yes.
You have to perform to a certain sort of order.
That's true.
The Duke was part of her system, but Duke taking always 2 or 3 steps behind her, used that space, the gap, be himself. Obviously, he always wanted to be himself, but he didn't pretend at all. And but as I said, what I could remember of him or say of him, that very natural, without pretensions, and forthright with his opinions as far as he could.
So what are the things that stand out most to you when you think about the Prince?
He had great charisma, and he exuded leadership. He was a soldier by profession, and a sportsman, great sportsman. I think I've told you, first time I saw him was when he was playing polo, and the skill with riding horses and that sort of thing naturally impressed me. And then in all, or if I would say, any occasion I had to meet with him, he attracted and radiated leadership. He was a natural leader. That I would say of him. And I was also blessed. He lived to a great old age, just 2 months short of 100 years. I think when you say 99 years, you should either say 100 years, just minus 2 months. And the last time I heard on the news of him, just about 3 weeks or so, when he was released from hospital, I believe the media people were particular in saying he walked out of the hospital into his car. 100-year-old man walking out when much younger people would need to be helped. So that was Duke of Edinburgh.
How did you take the news of his passing, and how do you think it will impact on the Commonwealth?
Well, let me tell you my basic belief. Once you are born, then one sure thing that would happen is a day will come when you die. It depends on what you put into your life. If you lived well, related well with mankind, served the community well, and you pass, naturally then you'll be mourned, you'll be remembered. The people feel the loss of your going. So I would think, given the length of service he rendered to his family, to his nation, Britain, and to the Commonwealth, and also to mankind, because he traveled the world over. Many people would miss him. There would be a gap. But then, how many people would live to 100 years? So naturally, the time has come for him to go, and we are sorry for a man like that to go, for us to miss him. But I think what we should do is not so much to mourn endlessly, than to pray that the good Lord would give him eternal rest, because he really made himself relevant to many people and to many situations. So his going would be missed.
Okay. So what do you think his legacies were?
To me, he behaved like a good human being, great human being, of relevance, as I said, charismatic, with leadership qualities, strong, forthright in his opinions. I don't think it will be everybody that would like him. People like him. You either like him or you do not like him. And he didn't seem to care. He would just be himself. And I wish people would try to be themselves always, rather than to pretend.
So one of his legacies, or known legacies, is the institution of the Duke of Edinburgh Awards, also known as
that's great, but that's concern for mankind.
Yes.
It's to encourage youth across the racial lines and national lines.
Especially in the Commonwealth.
To show leadership.
Yes.
to show initiative, to learn to take reasonable risks to better the lot of their communities. So that's one.
So how do you think that impacted on the young, especially in Africa?
Without leadership, we shouldn't talk of transformation. So anything that would nurture in the youth to learn to take initiatives, sensible initiatives, and to help move societies forward should be appreciated. And so that legacy, and I'm sure he's left many legacies, that one should be appreciated. And he will be remembered very much for.
Okay. So one of the things that we should probably pat our backs for was the fact that when he was asked who the greatest African he had ever met was, he mentioned Kwame Nkrumah. Do you agree?
That was his opinion.
Okay.
And as I've told you, he is a man that spoke his mind as far as I knew. So if he said that of Nkrumah, fantastic, I would say. That's how he saw him. And it shouldn't be surprising because the Queen became Queen, I believe, in the 50s, before Ghana became independent.
Yes.
But the Duke was already her husband. The young couple, and Ghana was the first country in the British colonial, if you like, element on the continent of Africa, south of Sahara, to have gained independence. So the Queen, and Ghana remained part of the monarchy till 1961, even after independence, before we became a republic. So I'm sure the Duke had many occasions to meet with Nkrumah. And Duke himself must have been a young man. So he perhaps sized Nkrumah up keenly for him to conclude that was perhaps the greatest African he'd met. So, and that was our leader, Ghana's leader. I believe should go well for us. We should take it as a pat on the back of Ghanaians, giving ourselves a great leader.
Okay, so what lessons do you think he bestowed to us before he left?
Fit in with our social arrangement as much as we can lawfully, but we shouldn't miss our identity, even in the crash of protocol and security and all that. We should try always to maintain our identity without pretense, and we should be humans, good humans.
So for a man his caliber, we would probably expect some pomp and pageantry for his funeral, but we've heard reports that he didn't want such a fuss. Is that in line with a man you know?
Left to him as Mr. Philip or whatever, his wishes would be respected. Left to him. But he was the husband of the Queen of Great Britain, who was also head of the Commonwealth organization. And they are royalty. The royals generally belong to the realms over which they rule. And when you are talking realms and kingdoms and nations, and leadership should respect security and respect protocol. So I'm sure, in spite of his personal wishes, royalty, nationhood, the Commonwealth, and the global organization might overrule his personal wishes and accord him the last honors and respects that a guy like that should be given.
Okay. Your Excellency, we appreciate your time with us and sharing your thoughts with us.
Well, I thank you for coming to talk to me about this man I was honored to meet. As I said, not once, but many times. And I came to appreciate him, like him. He was a man's man, exuded leadership, charisma, with a sense of humor, sometimes very biting humor, and also always with a twinkle in his eye. And I had 1 or 2 occasions I saw he had an eye for beauty in the opposite sex.
Okay.
So, and obviously too, he must have been a good family man.
Sure.
Because the way the Queen and their children always sort of hovered around him. He must have been a good family person. So naturally, I came to appreciate him. And as I said, it's sad that such a man has to go, because that's the way nature organized all of us. But he lived well, and I'm sure in large measure he would be remembered very well.
Your Excellency, we thank you, and we are so appreciative of your time. Well, viewers, we've been speaking to His Excellency, former President John Agyekum Kufuor, sharing his thought with us about the passing of the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip. He had a personal relationship with him. He's one of the few Ghanaians who was a guest of honor at the palace
Powers and principalities.
There's so much fire inside me.
Tragedy struck when part of the largest hillside at the kosher rubbish dump collapsed.
It's going to be fun to see how he goes about approaching this game.
We table issues relating to the arts and entertainment for a riveting discussion, of course, without fear nor favor.
The question the presenter asked them was a dumb question. You need to speak the fact and move.
Varied views. We agree to disagree.
So I would disagree with everything you said. I think that he's a smart guy. I think what he did.
No, but I also said he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
I guess that I'm waiting for the what next.
Yeah, I don't think that we have to wait for what next.
It sometimes gets confrontational, but that's the beauty of the game.
Today you're denying funny face. It's not my brother. Today you're denying funny face. I don't know him. You don't know funny face. It's not my brother. You don't know funny face.
It's a package. We meet, we sit, we dialogue, we learn, we progress. My name is Benefo Huabin Abrantepa, a proud blogger, and this is my forum.
To be a side chick is no joke. The person calls you, you have to be there. The person's wife appears, you have to be in character.
I don't think there's anything like a committed relationship is relationship. You don't have to put the tag committed and uncommitted.
You start the talking terms with a woman and you want to start off at places you don't even go there to eat. Probably you buy wache by the gutter at a zongo. But because you want to impress the lady, you start off at KFC.
Why would you even let your girlfriend come and stay in your house? Are you married to her? Is it her responsibility to come and stay in your house? Why don't you call your sisters to come and stay in your house?
Hello, how are you? Okay, I was checking up on you. And that's normal thing that is so annoying to some of us. Have you eaten? You call it in the morning, have you eaten? In the afternoon, have you eaten? In the evening, my dear, you a chef.
I, Assistant Divisional Officer Grade 1, Ezra Mingle, in charge of rescue in the Ghana National Fire Service, endorse the GhanaWeb Road Safety Campaign. Now, whenever an accident occurs, please remember to call the Ghana National Fire Service on the short code 192 or the General Emergency Line 112, or you can still call their direct line, which is 0302 772446. Anywhere you are within the country, when you call, the nearest station will come to you. Now, I will end by saying that do the right thing and save a life. Thank you very much.
Over the past few weeks, there's been reports of erratic power supply in various parts of the country. The government of the day has assured that this situation is not the regular doomsday that Ghanaians know, and that it is as a result of regular maintenance being undertaken by the Ghana Grid Company. On today's edition of Trending GH, we are speaking to some residents of Bubuashi in Accra to find out from them the impacts of this situation on their domestic life, as well as what they make of the situation, whether they see it to be a true doomsday, regardless of what government's position is.
Well, like I said, they higher power because now every week we are at least light off no. Yan best 4 or 5 days, and we are cry the doom na no pa best 11, and almost best 6:30. 6:30 no best 10 to 15 minutes and yes doom bill. Best 30 minutes almost saw ya almost 30 minutes and almost a doom and ye demu ma de chi. It's no pay best 9 no na saw ya. Higher because your fridge is so. Your fridge kwa ba kwa assess ya to top me aduane nti ma ton nam nyam egu fridge mu. We ko na bebre so assess. Higher pa. O se na dum so kono sa na we so kono. Na do so so ko no podi o mutimi schedule. O ma schedule se bi anopa ye be call off enumesis ni aba. But we anti announcement bia e na call off. Ye dem afita anopa be se anopa. Nti ye ni dum so de mi schedule hu difference bi e wo musa. The Emma lights in call off and on. Yes, Reno say, only ye my.
Light no. It's me doing say TV as a no bedroom no. E bia any and I course no here. The ama in your man so ashe. But do so na won so na. Omo so ti e pa ma chon ben for me hu. Me telling you. Fridge ni so ni. Who fan here? Is any nya access me enso. Is me Yentimi enunso nti esra mo ampanifo monyam be man yentimi ka se montoman ba ye be di sika beto but esra mo a.
In this area sometimes the lights go off without any information, and it is like it's a face off or something. Some will be having off, some will be having on. When it is going, no information. When it is coming, no information. Things are in the fridge. Sometimes you have to store food for future use. By the time you realize it has spoiled. So it's very, very bad. Me, I don't even feel happy in the country anymore. I can say we are in doom, so but just they don't want to say it. And you know the problem is, if we've seen this before, you said before, we've seen it before, it is true. So assuming we've been in another government, another set of people, we have to at least advance from before. As a president or a government, okay, as a president, you can't come to my doorstep and come and give me food every day. You can't do anything for Ghanaians. The petty things that will help Ghanaians, you do it for them so that they can also survive. Because as I'm standing here, Akufo-Addo doesn't know I exist. He doesn't know me from anywhere. So we have to do what he feels will make the youth in the community feel better, in the country feel better. People are hustling. People are hustling.
Almost son wedum, almost son wedum. Fair by and baby cry. Me say me pamade. Yes, I mean to me pamade. Or even to you so washing machine they are already. By any tears say you see and sunny day, already a high and baby. Say your dreams so they are my young. Say you do so so I want you be being found.
At the chimbia near ye bedum light. You do light now at the same time and I start to consume at the same time. Until you who send your young light as an I cry that one thing. My ditching.
Oh, yeah, they are 15 no more light out and 15 in her because in 90 minutes. So much I cry as I don't see baby or so.
And a ban so I won't say a banner so a banner so and you so or no credit any kind back. Doom so dear. Semen Cassie, you will more crampona. Sania asasa negusubu bobe na che se ebebro dum so no so kra.
Well, we've experienced the same thing. Yesterday, for example, we had a situation where the light would go on and will go off for a while and then it will come back on. Then it will stay on for just a brief moment, then it will go on for hours. And, so it was going on and off, and that can affect, some of your electrical appliances. Yeah, domestic-wise, of course, you can't watch your news, you can't go online, you can't browse, everything is off. And so, because we use Wi-Fi, and so when that goes off, then it becomes a problem. The heat is unbearable, and Ghana is hot. Ghana is shit. Well, doom so literally translated is doom off, so on, and that's what we're experiencing. So I mean, I don't know how else you can sugarcoat it, but to me, this is doom so. It's been going on for a while, and I think that the authorities need to tell us exactly what's going on, because if you say it's maintenance, then it shouldn't be this long.
So these are residents of Swan Lake here in Bubuashi expressing their thoughts about the current erratic supply situation being experienced in the country. According to them, besides the current situation having all the characteristics of a doom so, is also affecting their domestic life. They are therefore appealing to governments and the relevant institutions to come out with a schedule to help them plan their lives accordingly, whilst also ensuring that the situation is handled judiciously. Reporting for GhanaWeb TV, George AC.
For persons living with disabilities, especially in our parts of the world, one of their biggest concerns is acceptance. And even for those who are able to break through, society doesn't quite have enough space to welcome them. Today on The Untold, we speak to Mr. Alex Tete, who from the streets of Tulaku in Ashaman has risen to a level where today he's traveled all the continents of the world. From this very shack right here in Tulaku, today he lives a comfortable life and now encourages people and persons living with disability to strive more for their lives. Come along with us as we hear the intriguing story of this man who has broken through the lines of society that hamper the livelihoods of persons living with disability. It's The Untold here on GhanaWeb TV. My name is Eche Atisu. Come along.
It's God. It has not been easy. We give thanks to God.
He weeps. His tears, however, are not for the dead, but for a man who lives. Neither does he cry out of pain, but joy. He looks at the boy whom he once watched taking careful steps barefooted to and from school daily, and wonders what would have become of that little boy if he had succeeded in convincing his parents to take him out of school.
When he completed his elementary here, he was not certified. He edged on. He went to Africa Advance. He was not holding a support. You see him, I will stand at the gate, you will see him passing. When he sees me, sir, all the time, I feel for him, suffering. But he is not perturbed. One day, he was coming with his books. I don't know what happened. He fell. Quickly, he woke up. He struggled to wake up. He parted off his the dress and so I'm going to come. I had some feeling in me. The second time, I was at the gate. He was passing. So I said, I'm going to come over. Then I beckoned him, come. He came. Said, good morning. I said, good morning. How are you? Alex, why are you suffering? Why are you worrying yourself? All the time struggling, school education. Your friends learn trade and they are stationed. They work on to make a living. Why do you struggle? Then he laughed at the side of his mouth. He said, I didn't understand. So I will say, I'm going to school and come. He forced, and today, I've seen why he did so.
But that boy holds no grudges because he believes Ifo Ime's attempts to end his education was out of sympathy and not hatred.
Told my mother that, why do you worry your son to walk in the rain and in the sun, go to school? Get a kiosk for him, get some shoe making, and let him sit at one place and mend shoes for people. That will be more fulfilling than the way you let him stress. Because sometimes every day I sit by my house, when I see him pass by, I cry within me how he suffers, go to school and come back home. Then my mother said, no, it's only education. This thing will not take him anywhere. He can't marry out of this. You see, he has to go to school. So I was not worried at all. Each time I pass by the man, I greet him. I make sure he sees me going. Even though I go through that pain, the goal ahead of me didn't allow me to be discouraged at all. I was so determined to be able to make it.
Alexander Tete's determination to complete his education was born out of his mother's words to him the first time he told her he wants to quit schooling.
My mother told me that the state in which I am is only education that can make me strive, because always my mother says that I want to put you in a position where when I'm no more, you can fend for yourself. and it is only through education. So reluctantly, I go to school.
This wooden structure in Tulaku, a slum in Ashaiman, is a place he called home until he got married and moved elsewhere with his wife to start their own family. Though he lives a comfortable life now, he returns to this neighborhood today as he recounts his life's journey.
He's still standing here. Yeah. And you know, it goes through, sometimes it wear off, they replace it. Yeah, they replace it with other wooden, yeah, but this is the room where we lived.
And you lived here with your parents?
Oh, with my parents, so my siblings were here. We were five siblings, and we even had other family brothers and sisters who were living with us. My mother's sisters' children, and yeah, all within this. But what happens is that because you know we are within the vicinity, sometimes we don't sleep our room. Sometimes we sleep with friends, but this is where our things were, and this is where we call home. We came in agreement with my wife that we need to relocate from Ashama, because Ashama is too hot in terms of character building. If you don't have the resilience and the capacity, your children will go wayward.
At a tender age of 6, Alex Tetet contracted polio and became crippled as a result. Believing it was spiritual, his mother moved him from one church, prayer camp, or shrine to another, hoping her son would be healed, but his condition remained the same.
I remember Rehad Bonki came to Tema, to the RCA Park, and my mother carried me at the back, and there was a healing process, and the crowd was so huge. My mother was carrying me, wants to get close to the man of God, the prophet, and it wasn't easy. We got close to pray for, but we came back home. I wasn't healed. The intention was that I would be able to walk. There were a lot of people who came there who had crutches, who had wheelchairs, were able to stand. Some have to leave their crutches, but my mother carried me at the back. She tried to put me on the ground so I can stand, but I couldn't stand. So we came home, so disappointed that I couldn't walk. So this process go on every now and then. Every time there's a crusade, my mother wants to carry me there until a friend told my mother to send me to hospital so they can work on my legs. So I went there and they gave me some calipers to hold my leg, and they gave me a wheelchair, and they gave me crutches, and I started to walk. I mean, from the time I got my polio, where it paralyzed me, up to the time I went to the hospital was about 3 years. So when I went to the hospital, I was around 9 years. So that time, I was ready to go to school. So I started school when I was 9 years, class 1. So class 1, because most of the time I was at home, my siblings, my senior brother and the sister come home, and some of the things they are taught at school, they teach me. So I became very sharp, and some of the things that I should learn in the infancy, I learned them at home. So when I went to the class 1, in no time I was jumped from class 1 to class 3. So I didn't attend class 2 at all.
His mother had to shoulder the burden of footing his medical bills, as his father wasn't making much from his small carpentry business.
My mother lost her money, at a point she has to sell her clothing to take care of me, to take care of my medical bills. There was no support. My father was around, but my father is also a mini carpenter. She goes around, repair tables and chairs for people and out of that we make it. So we were hugely depending on my mother's business. So it wasn't easy. I couldn't even go to the hospital again for review. So my calipers and crutches all got broken.
Without crutches to support him anymore, Alex had to resort to crawling wherever he went, including school.
I remember at school, and nobody would like to sit by me because when I crawl on the floor, and you can imagine I crawl in the sun, and I became so dirty, very sweaty, and nobody would sit by me because at the school there's this mono desk where 2 people sit, and I was alone on my desk, and nobody would sit by me because of the sweat and the dirt. And I remember I was so sad. I was so sad, and when I came home, I told my mother I won't go to school again because nobody want to get close to me, and nobody want to play with me. And very young, you love to play. My mother encouraged me to go.
Maybe I'm a senior, engineer, work class.
I was a senior in school, but my brother was his classmate. He either crawled to school or his siblings carried him, and that went on till he started using crutches. Then finally, he started walking like this.
Crutches.
I can see improvement in his life, so I'll encourage the disabled in society not to look down on themselves.
Somebody then say, and that's what be our mom.
He didn't take it lightly being teased, and that made a lot of people avoid him.
Initially, you did not call me a different name apart from my name. I will gather some stones and make sure I hit you. I will chase you up. I will hold your legs, clamp your legs together, and you fall. And when you fall, when I crawl on top of you, you receive some blows. And then the next time you will not do that. So in my area, I was like a terror. So can you imagine? You, the same person, don't have friends. Now, even the few people who are want to play with you, you beat them up. And I was so I was so strong. My upper body was very strong because I crawl. Very strong. So when I hold you, it's difficult for you to release yourself. So this is how it went. And when I accepted my disability, I became a champion. I became so popular. I had a lot of friends. People call me Kakdi, people call me Pozo Hayes and all that. I don't mind.
He went to school with my daughter, and I knew he walked with the aid of crutches. He was very aggressive at the time and even fought with my son by a gutter. I asked my son why he fought him when he knew about his condition. The young people were always teasing him, and in retaliation, he threw stones at them. He's not a bad person. We never expected that he would get to this point in life, and even expect that someone could fall in love with him.
Life became easier for Alex when he finally accepted his condition.
When I accepted my situation and I became happy with it, and I said, whatever the situation is, I would want to become somebody even with my disability. There I began picking up, and I started becoming first in my class. And so there and then I began gaining friends because I started teaching them mathematics. I was very good at maths. I started teaching them some of the subjects and things. So I became very popular, had a lot of friends. People call me names, and I give them more. I receive the morale and all that.
As time went by, his father made some wooden crutches for him, and he moved around with that. Soon, he was able to move around without the use of the crutches, even though he needed to be careful with his steps.
I manage and I learn how to walk. And the walkings I do is tactics. Tactics. So once I walk, I look on the floor because the floor is not even. So I look at where it slopes, where then I calculate my steps. Places where I'm not able to calculate my step, where I fall. So that is about my life. A few times I sit in the wheelchair when I'm so tired, and also I'm not able to go to long distance. But with the wheelchair, I'm able to do that. I'm also a wheelchair basketball player. Yeah, I do sports. Yeah, I play basketball. So I use the wheelchair. And when I went to further studies in the UK, and you know, the accessibility everywhere is accessible. So I really used the wheelchair when I was there. And if you see me in the UK, in Hammersmith, central London, in the wheelchair, you wouldn't identify me. Because the speed at which I go, at the point the police stop me and say, please, the speed is too much. They'll be observing me. The speed is, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Because if I look at where I started, somebody who was crawling on the floor, had no hope because your parents don't have it. And where I am, where I can sit with ministers to discuss issues of disability. A few times I've participated in the UN conference, giving presentation. Addis Ababa, I was there. In New York, I was there. Washington, I was there. To participate in UN conferences to discuss policies, global policies. Yeah. So I just praise God and thank God for where He has brought me.
Mr. Tete walked barefooted all his life due to his condition, until a friend encouraged him to try wearing shoes. This was when he was about 20 years old and in secondary school.
I went through the education barefooted until I got to secondary school. And the secondary school, you know, because there's no money, the schooling was like private. I went to Snaps College. And the Snaps College, I did accounting there. And can you imagine, I slept in the school. That was where I began wearing shoes. I met a friend called Okran. And then he said, Alex, you can wear a shoe. Alex, let's go to Kantamanto. Let's give it a try. I said, I don't believe I can wear a shoe. So we went together. And the friend, we got some shoes. Let me try. And I tried a few ones which fit my leg. And then the friend told me, he called Samuel Okan. He said, today you wear the shoe from here to school. So can you imagine walking from Kantamanto to Asalam Down, Snaps College? Formerly that was where it was. And I walked. And when I got to school, all of my legs got bruises. You know, when your legs look fresh. So when you put on that thing, I things. And for 3 days, I couldn't move. I have to remove the shoe and get the wound healed. But when the wound got healed, I put it on again because I said this thing must stop. I have to be able to wear a shoe like anybody else. So after 3 days, when the wound got healed a bit, not totally, but when the pains came down, because when I got the bruises, it became like a small balls around my feet. So when I got healed, all got best and got healed, I wore it again and started practicing, started walking gradually, and then all my feet, that area got hardened, and then I was able to walk to today. It's so amazing how I'm able to walk, wear a shoe, and now I can move to the shoe shop and get a shoe to wear.
Powers and principalities.
There's so much fire inside me.
Tragedy struck when part of the largest hillside at the kosher rubbish dump collapsed.
It's going to be fun to see how he goes about approaching The owner of the property where Snaps College was first located recounts some memories of Mr. Tete's days at the school.
I took him as my child when he was schooling here and didn't discriminate against him. He used to sleep here with some other students and I had a cordial relationship with all of them. Anytime I cooked for them, people asked if they gave me money for that. And I told them they didn't. They all slept here on mats at night and took their baths to get ready for class when day breaks. He was a good child, very humble, and I didn't see him as disabled. I'm happy anytime I see him. He visits me once in a while when he comes to help students.
He went on to get his HND in accounting at Accra Polytechnic after completing Snaps College, but almost gave up on his education again one rainy day.
All this time I've been moving from Ashama to Accra for lectures. Moved from Ashama to Accra for lectures. And there was this time, in the morning, the clouds look like it's coming to rain. So I got an umbrella. And when I landed at Tema Station, walking, there's a route from Tema Station to Accra Poly. I was walking in that lane where now AMA has built their offices. There's a lane there. People sell. There's a market there too. And so the rain started with strong wind. And I decided to open the umbrella because my books, I have a bag at my back and walking. I walk the way I walk, swing myself. And then before I realized, the wind entered the umbrella and pushed me. And in fact, with my books at my back, I was holding onto the umbrella and the wind was also blowing the umbrella to get off my hand. And I said, no way, I won't leave this umbrella. We were all on the ground in the rain. In fact, it was one of my saddest moments. Because you see, at that period, nobody was ready to give you assistance. So when the wind subsided, I woke up, put off the umbrella, and I said, the rain should beat me. It's okay for the rain to beat me because I'm already wet and dirtied myself. So when I got to school, I decided to get one of the empty classrooms and sat there. Because I didn't want to go to my colleagues because of how I've messed myself up. And there I cried. In fact, when I got back home, I told my mother and my father that I think that it's okay. It's okay to I told them, why am I going through all these challenges? Is there, where is this leading me? Because at every point in time I go through hell, I go through problems, sometimes trying to do something for myself. I face a lot of challenges, very bitter. And today I couldn't even go to lectures, even though I went right to the school, I couldn't go to lectures because of all this, all that has happened to me. So I don't think that I want to continue the school. My parents cried. After crying together with me, they told me that, yes, it is true that I'm going through these problems, but that is the only way I can survive.
Mr. Tete moved to Pando in the Volta region for his national service because he wanted to learn to be fully independent.
I told my parents this time I want to be out of home. so that I can experience life. So, and you know, for a person with disability, you are posted anywhere you want to be because they assume that you need some support services. So, but I was asked where I want to be. I said I want to go to Pando. No, I want to go to the Volta region. I said let me go to the Volta region. So they posted me to the Volta region hole, and because I did accounting, I was posted to Pando Audit Service, and that was where life actually began. Yeah, so I learned how to live on my own.
Shortly after his service, he married the love of his life, and they are blessed with 4 children. But convincing her family to allow them get married wasn't an easy task.
So my national service savings, I was able to gather it, and that is what I used to marry my wife. But during the time I was schooling, I met her at church. I attended the Church of Christ at Shaman, Accra Road there, and that is where. And I'm a very strong Christian, and because and in all this I'm saying that Christianity has actually made me who I am. Christianity, because each time I go through challenges, I go through the stress and the problems, I look up to God, and I said, God, I know you are there for me, and I know you'll never leave me until I achieve my goal. So I met her, and when I proposed to her, she was confused. She was confused because we were very good friends, and she asked me, but Kojo, I'm a Monday born, they call me Kojo. In a house, I'm called Kojo. He said, oh, Kojo, is it a joke? But we are brothers. I said, oh, what? We are brothers. Are you the second born of my mother? I'm serious. So it was so many years, but I mean, I kept on because I attempted a relationship before, but the family, I got to know early that the family wouldn't accept. Because what happened is that lady, sister, also married a disabled person. So the mother says, Abba, is it a taboo? That is it a case? That all my 2 girls should marry disabled people? Why? As for this one, they won't agree. So I said, no problem. No problem. I married my wife, even though there was a few resistance. My wife's mother's family, because the mother passed on, so the mother's family were not agreeing to it. But the father said, this young man, I see in him a very good husband, a very good in-law. So for me, he can marry my daughter. I had a lot of support from him, and I married my wife. That was in 1999, 5th December 1999. I married my wife, and we are blessed with 4 children, 2 girls, 2 boys. The first 2 are in the university. The first one, Major in Tete, is at Tech. He's doing geography. He's in the 2nd year. And the second one, Rose Tete, is at Telecom University. He's doing computer engineering. And then the third one is a boy. He's at the GHS 3. And then the last one, class 1. That's the pension baby Elom Tete. So life is about how you make it, how determined you are. And if you are determined and with God's support, you can actually make it.
After his national service, he got his first job as an accountant at Sutrek Meets Ghana Limited. From there, he moved to the Ghana Society for Persons with Disabilities as national director. Today, he runs his own organization, Center for Employment for Persons with Disabilities, and has 3 permanent employees. His aim? To reduce the number of persons with disabilities begging on the streets.
So I'm an employee of the local government service where I am posted to the to the Tema West Assembly. My organization, I volunteer for the organization. So I have staff that I've employed three staff who are every day in the office, and they work. And because I also work, I don't go there. I receive reports of their work, and also we have meetings to discuss activities of the organization. Basically, the organization is a non-governmental organization. It's not a profit-making organization. And what we do is to empower persons with disabilities in Ghana through vocational skills, employment, and livelihood support. And so we collaborate with other agencies and other government institutions. My work at the Assembly is also enhanced by the work that I do in the disability organization. I'm able also to mobilize disabled people within the Tema municipality and the metropolis, and we're able to embark on a lot of activities that improve on their lives.
He has traveled to at least one country in all 5 continents of the world, a reality he never dreamed of as a child.
I've traveled to the participated in conferences and programs because of my advocacy for persons with disabilities.
From this shack?
Yeah, from this shack. Yeah.
From all the continents of the world?
All the continents. I don't know. I've been to Asia, I've been to America, I've been to Denmark, South America. I've been to Nicaragua. You know, that was in 2005. It was the longest journey, 13-hour journey crossing the Atlantic Ocean. It was so tiring. Yeah. And so that has been great, and I was awarded, including other people. I remember Roland Walker was one of the guys who was awarded on that day. Yeah. So, and so people in Ashama, the youth of Ashama, recognize my work, even though I scarcely visit them now. They recognize that I come from Ashama. And just this week, one of the guys in Ashama called me that it's about time we do a homecoming, where a few guys who have lived in Ashama have to come together and see how we can develop Ashama, because Ashama is in a mess now. Ashama is in a mess now, and other people have come to live in the area and have given the area a bad name. But back in our days, even though Ashama has all the bad names, we were like a community. You know, even though there are a few bad guys, we were like a community, and we were striving. But now it's not like that.
The man who once lost use of both legs now has driving as a hobby.
The fact that I'm able to drive myself was a great thing for me, because I'm able to move and I'm able to control my life. I began by somebody driving me, and it's been really difficult when every time you have to call the person and to come and drive you. Initially, I wasn't paying the person, and so it was like a kind of a pro bono service. And sometimes you can't get a person to drive you, and then you are stuck. So when I'm able to drive, I began, and I could see that I'm able to drive. I was so excited. So driving is a fun. I drive to Kumasi. I drive long distance to Ho. I drove to Donkokrom, from Plains and all that. I drive to Cape Coast myself. Yeah. So driving is actually a fun.
Whilst encouraging persons with disabilities not to look down on themselves, Alexander Tete expressed profound gratitude to his family for all their support during his trying moments.
sometimes we look at the challenges and then we forget, we don't open our eyes to the opportunities that are open to us. I've met a lot of people in my life who have supported me here and there, and I've met a lot of discouragement in my life too. But because I am me and I want to get to a goal, I don't allow the discouragements. I use the discouragement as a stepping stone to move ahead, because I know that when I move to the next level, this discouragement that you are talking about or you are facing me with will be the thing of the past. I had a lot of family support. My brother, my sister, who was our firstborn, almost always carries me to school. Sometimes carries me to school because I crawl, and when I crawl to school, I'm dirty. She would decide to carry me to school before she also go to school, and I owe her a lot of gratitude. She has really supported me. And our second born, I'm the third born. Our second born is also a male guy, and that guy very strong. He can fight. So you dare not cheat me or do anything against me. If he comes around, he will make sure he beats you mercilessly. So nobody messes up with me. All these are all the supports that I had from them. And my father, so fantastic. I'm the only person who speaks Ewe. My father is an Ewe. I'm the only person who speaks Ewe with my father. My father was so supportive, so supportive. One thing he never encouraged me to do was to pursue his job, carpentry. Each time he tells me, no, this job is not good for you. This job is for people who have legs, not for you. I said, Daddy, I'll make it. There's a lot of persons with disabilities who decide to end up their life. I want to encourage them that if you end your life, what do you gain? You have to make it. You can make it wherever situation you find yourself. Other colleagues who beg on the street, it's not dignifying. You can do something with your hand. Even if you are not educated, you can really do something.
That's the story of Mr. Alex Tete, and we are grateful that you've joined us. We hope that it inspires you, as we always do here on The Untold. We hope that your lives are transformed from joining us on this edition. Until next time, my name is Eche Atisu. Do remember to follow us on GhanaWeb. Go to www.ghanaweb.com for all stories on our website.
Hi, my name is Nanama McBrown. I'm proud to be part of GhanaWeb Road Safety Campaign. Please, do the right thing. Save a life. Brim.
Between January and February this year, over 500 Ghanaians have been killed in road accidents alone. This tells you the gravity of the problem regarding safety on our roads. As part of GhanaWeb's Road Safety Campaign, we are here to speak with the Director in charge of Education, Research and Training at the Motor Traffic and Transport Department under the Ghana Police Service. He's in the person of Superintendent Alexander Obeng. Mr. Obeng, thank you for speaking with us and for this entire partnership. But basically tell us, what at all does the MTTD do? What's the institution about?
All right. Thank you for the opportunity that has been established so strong between GhanaWeb as part of your 22-year anniversary in existence and Motor Traffic and Transport Department of Ghana Police Service, which has been here since 1952 as a result of the road safety problem that our forebears envisaged in terms of vehicle ownership, vehicle use by motorists and vehicle occupants and pedestrians, which enjoin every country, including the then Gold Coast and now Ghana, to come up with countermeasures, including safer road safety management systems, safer roads, safer vehicles, safer road users, and come up with certain health care measures and some sort of enforcement, which always results in passing of road traffic laws and regulations, which was done. And when that law was passed in 1952, Road Traffic Ordinance number 55, it imposed a public health and public safety responsibilities on Ghana, and the then administration handed same to the Interior Ministry and to the Ghana Police Force now service to collaborate with other stakeholders, now even with GhanaWeb, among other myriad of stakeholders, including National Road Safety Authority, the then Road Safety Committee, now Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, then VELD, among others, in order to ensure that public health and safety measures are improved upon, so that there will be maximized mobility with less risk of injury or death.
Sure.
And over time, we've been able to evolve from 1952 with the clear mandate to ensure that we enforce the road laws, ensure that vehicle owners are forthcoming with their responsibility towards vehicle maintenance and servicing and who to give to. We enforce to ensure that those who are handed with vehicles ensure that their vehicles are registered, their vehicles are given licenses to be on the road, like roadworthy, and they are also issued with valid insurance certificates and are embossed with vehicle registration numbers, and the drivers are trained and issued with appropriate, valid, authentic driver licenses, and we are out there to ensure that drivers comply with the best practice in terms of using their licenses to drive, in terms of their speeding behaviors, where to stop, how to follow, where to overtake, what to do when your vehicle get broken down. Our issues, among others, that we ensure that drivers are forthcoming, and even in terms of vehicle occupants, we ensure that they are on their restraint devices like seat belts, and those riders, both the driver and the rider, are also on their crash helmets, and all that it takes to also ensure that pedestrians also walk along the road on the left and then cross the road appropriately at safe crossing point are some of the responsibilities that are imposed on us, which we do every day. And also, in addition to ensuring that people comply, we detect an increased sense of apprehension among those who violate same. And those who violate him are arrested, processed, and put before court of competent jurisdictions. And at the end of the day, for example, as I have on my data, those that are convicted, same are published. And I can say that from January to November, February this year, 423 Ghanaians have been put before motor courts for various offenses. In the process, the court has been able to adjudicate to finality and convicted 362 offenders, and 2 have been jailed, and the remaining, the court imposed court fines, summing up to 205,190 Ghana cedis, and same have been paid into the state coffers by these convicts.
This amount is for which people? Which people have paid this amount?
Those who were the 362
who were convicted.
Yes, who were convicted. The conviction somewhere was sentenced to prison. 2. The rest, fines were imposed on them, and I've given you that. And I'm saying that this is part of what we do. We go beyond that. We use this same to sensitize the general public and share data on accidents, because we respond to accident scenes and investigate and produce appropriate information to appropriate entities, including the courts and the insurance entities. And we do it on a daily basis. And we also collaborate with other stakeholders to ensure that our work remains beneficial in terms of information sharing and capacity building, training, sensitization, publicity, so that where crashes are occurring, for example, we don't keep it in our books. We, on our feet, for example, this year, we will not wait till the end of the quarter. We will, as and when, cumulatively, will make the occurrences that are impacting on public health and safety available for people to also take safe remedial measures as individuals and as groups to protect themselves before the worst happens. Therefore, I'm not surprised that between January and February, what happened and what we shared, the general public and our publics are positively responding to it, and has also become part of our public discourse in terms of what to do in order to avert the seemingly increasing crash incidents and associated high deaths and morbidity, and then damage to property report that we've shared. So these, among other responsibilities or tasks that are imposed on us, and we do it to the best of our ability, given the available resources and the efforts on our part.
Okay. About that, you put out some statistics for just January and February, and it was very scary. I mean, we haven't even gotten to the first quarter, and we have about 517 people getting killed in road accidents. I mean, with everything that your department has been doing so far, why is it that this year alone, before the first quarter even draws to a close, we've recorded this high number of casualties?
I think, first of all, we should be very careful when we begin to use the word surprise, because when you look into the current recommended steps from 2020 to 2030 within the strategic development goals, that we call it sustainable development goals by the UN, particularly goal 3.6 and 11.2, which relates to public health and safety, road crashes. And you look at the solution toolbox principle, which has to do with the safe system approach, which seeks to Vision Zero, that we should apply system so that human, environment, or road infrastructure and vehicles should interact in a way that will ensure high level of safety. And the principle that is espouses, one is that we should ensure that we pursue a commitment to proactive improvement of roads and vehicles so that the entire road safety system is made safer than just locations or situations where crash or crashes last occurred. So if you are not careful and you begin to say, oh, currently the crashes are surging, you will be making a mistake. And if you look at the wide spectrum, and you look at what happened last year, you should have noted a trend. And you ask yourself, what have we done as a society? Because last year, from January to December, compared with the same period the year before, which was 2019, you saw that all indicators were surging. So crashes have increased by 7.27.
7.27.
Yes. And vehicles that were involved in the crashes have increased by 10.37%. And persons that have been injured also increased by 13.45%. And persons that have been killed also increased by 13.35%. And when you look at January to February, as you already said, you see that crashes that are reported that increased by about 7%. As now, it's now the rate is now 11.21%.
For just January.
Yes, so that now from last year we've seen it is moving, and you see that vehicles have also increased by 9.04%. Vehicles involved, and now we have persons that have been injured increasing by 7.25%, and persons that have been killed increased by 31.55%.
Wow, that's...
And so, if you look at it this way, you will see that it seems to be undulating increases. However, it is increasing since last year. Since 2019,
rise.
It seems to be an increasing trend. And if it's in an overview, it is increasing this year. And that's what I'm saying. Therefore, what are we doing it right? And that is where the discourse should be. Can it be business as usual? And therefore, we have to look at our solution toolbox and see what is wrong elsewhere. Or is it that we have been slow in our responses and countermeasures? That's why the system has caught up with us, and we seem not to have our way clear.
From where you sit, when you put into perspective all these things, what has your observation been?
My observation has been that when you look at the principle that is underlying our road safety management, it seems to be off the track.
When you say off the track, how do you mean?
I mean, see, if you are operating a road safety system that will not recognize or anticipate and accommodate human errors and prevent consequent death or serious injury, you are bound to fail. I'm emphasizing again. If you are operating a road safety management system in this world, in any country, that will, or that has its transport system does not anticipate and accommodate human errors, it will be difficult to promote safety. And that is what we are confronted with. That our safe system approach has failed. We are not keeping to the principle that has been so documented and handed to members countries of United Nations.
Okay.
And that is why we should get back to the basis, so that, for example, for how long shall we sit down without preventing headlong collision involving high occupancy buses, articulated trucks, people running into broken down vehicles on our West African transit routes or international routes that traverse Ghana. The one from Elubu through Accra to Aflao, the one from Kwame Nkrumah Circle through Zawam, Nkoko, Kumasi, Swami about Offenso, Tachimai, Kentampo, Yipala, Tamale, Boga, and then Paga. For how long shall we see this corridor that so support our developmental efforts, enhance communication among Ghanaians and our foreign nationals and compatriots, and so allow it to be single carriage? For how long? For example, when we wake up and hear, and it has been a routine in our lifetime, that one collision, because a tire will burst, because one driver will unlawfully overtake at night, maybe driving fatigued, his vehicle might have broken down, and because it's loaded, cannot be pushed off, and it serves as trap, and people run into them and crash. How long shall we continue to go to such scenes and collect 65 dead bodies with half burnt, sometimes on the N1, sometimes on the N6 and then the N10. Instances this year like Srichikura, the one that has happened at Achimasaf. Last year, we recall what happened in Babatukuma in Kintampo. You recall what happened in Dompasi. You recall what happened in Chichiwari. All mirrored, and many of these that are happening as a result of headlong collusion. And a lot are dying, a lot are being charged. And we think the solution lies where? It lies in the fact that the safe system approach said that we should anticipate human error and ensure that such roads that are international, that passes through this republic, and we know them, at least two, Accra to Paga,
they should be made
Aflauto. It is obvious that having run on it as single carriages have only become a death trap for us. And countries that during the same time that we're harboring these single carriages manage to invest in theirs and turn them into dual carriages. We don't hear of same. And there are thousands of vehicles that are on such routes, nocturnally and diurnally, and you don't hear of such. But on our road, because we have allowed single carriage, it's obvious our report. And therefore, it is one area that this country must pay much attention to, not in the distant millennia now, in our present time, because whether we like it or not, these two roads are the roads that are fueling our economy. They are the roads that we are depending on this so much for, to the expectation from the report of GRA, of Custom Division, that Ghana had accrued so much from trade. It is because of these routes that are nerves, the nerve center for Tema Harbour and Takoradi Harbour, and it's the hope of blood artery that supplies the hearts of the economies of Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Togo, Côte d'Ivoire, Chad, among other countries that depend on our ports and these routes for support. And this same route that many Ghanaians that are in Upper East, in North East, those that are in Northern region, Savannah, those that are in Ahafo, Bono, and Bono East, Ashanti, Eastern region, Accra, depend on for their essentials and their movement day and night. And the same route that gives us a bad report every day of mass death. Why? Because sections that are left single carriages are the very traps that are killing us. And we see it, and we give excuses that there's no money, and we give excuses that it will take such a long time before it is done, which is not so. That when we started today, by 3 years' time, you would have seen the effort that we have put in. It can never be that anybody is saying, do all roads, do all. That's not what we are saying. We said only 2 roads, because those roads are very critical. It saves lives and it promotes the economy. And so this has been a challenge. Again, whilst we are rationalizing the fact that dualizing these 2 roads are difficult and can happen in a distant millennia, we have also refused in realizing that if you are building an economy with single carriage transit routes, then you must know to invest heavily in towing and recovery track system. Do we have it? We ask ourselves. Even that, do we have it? Can we boast of it? And we allow the road be littered with broken down, accidented vehicles, and it serves as traps for others, particularly nocturnally. These are matters that are critical. Again, in a country where you have such a poor public transport system, which is private-led, it smacks that over time you see others coming in with cheap alternatives, affordable alternatives, accessible alternatives. And I'm not surprised in our lifetime, because we have not been able to invest in mass transit bus systems, even in urban and peri-urban environment. What you see is that our hope and solace is found only in shamefully motor bicycles, motor tricycles, and we have given them nicknames, priding ourselves. Some call it Okada for the service it delivers. Some call it Aboboya. Some we call it Pragya. Some we call it Mahama Kandu or Kumbu. In all this, if you look at the data, as I have it in front of me, last year, for example, with 2,589 that died, few motor bicycles or few motorcycles, 5,684 that got crashed, killed 1,056 out of the 2,589. It's continuing this year with the 517 dead. Few motorcycles, 974, have killed 222 out of it. Then I'm telling you that these are where the main problems are. And therefore, even with these, you can now suggest solutions. Okay. So, these are clear indicators that if you don't, we are not able to hold it. So now, it looks as if with any 100 deaths, about 45 are attributed to motorcycle-related injury. Motorcycle-related injury are leading to these deaths. 100 deaths. Okay. 45. But these vehicles are few. But they deliver such essential services that Ghanaians decided to cling to it like flea for their livelihood and basic service delivery. So as a way forward, should be a matter for national discourse. We should stop pretending that motorcycle is in the urban, the heart of the CBDs. Motorcycles are within the metropolitan area, in municipal areas, and in peri-urban Ghana, and in the rural states, and in our farm states. Motorcycles seem to be the most common, affordable, accessible, and those that are pronouncedly used by Ghanaians.
But how can that be inculcated in our system, our road usage system?
No, I think that's what I'm saying, that we should have hands on deck, because we are overwhelmed. Okay. And this is everywhere, and everybody is using it. Yeah. And it's affordable, and we seem to be a job, generating a machine to the youth who are also looking for job, and they think that they have gotten job. What do we do? Everywhere, and everybody is patronizing, and it seems to me that there is a gap there, a policy gap. It seems to me that there is a aloofness gap on the part of all of us, that as if it doesn't exist.
Okay, thank you so much, Superintendent Alexander Obeng.
Thank you
for this opportunity. This has been part of our conversation on the GhanaWeb Road Safety Campaign. My name is Lord Harris Idwasare. Now, do send us some of your videos on our social media platforms. On Facebook, it is GhanaWeb. On Twitter, it's equally the GhanaWeb. And on YouTube, it's GhanaWeb TV. Do join us for our other interviews or interactions with some of our stakeholders.
From the dawn of time, people have engaged in several businesses. With the onset of technology and innovation, life has relatively been made easier. By using debit or credit cards,
mobile banking.
Thank you. And your favorite, mobile money?
Tech has indeed married business. On BizTech, we spend time with faces behind known and upcoming businesses in the country.
Learn more about the new technologies and innovation,
as well as find out about the trending issues in the world of business.
Join us as we serve you with a variety of compelling interviews, projects and others right here on GhanaWeb TV.
To be a side chick is no joke. The person calls you, you have to be there. The person's wife appears, you have to be in character.
I don't think there's anything like a committed relationship is relationship. You don't have to put the tag committed and uncommitted.
You start the talking terms with a woman and you want to start off at places you don't even go there to eat. Probably you buy wache by the gutter at a zongo. But because you want to impress the lady, you start off at KFC.
Why would you even let your girlfriend come and stay in your house? Are you married to her? Is it her responsibility to come and stay in your house? Why don't you call your sisters to come and stay in your house?
Hello, how are you? Okay, I was checking up on you. And that's normal thing that is so annoying to some of us. Have you eaten? You call it in the morning, have you eaten? In the afternoon, have you eaten? In the evening, my dear, you a chef.
The phenomena of ritual killings for money, as well as money doubling, has been in existence in the country for a very long time, but in spate of these vices in the country. Quite recently, a 10-year-old boy was killed in Kaswa by his teenage friends, and this has given rise to the conversation around such vices in the country, while some have laid the blame on traditional media houses for giving the space for such persons to operate. Others are saying that, well, the systems have been failing. But today on Say It Loud, we are actually here at Kaswa to find out from some residents on exactly what they think may have given rise to the proliferation of ritual killings and some of these other vices. My name is Lord Harris Idwasari. When we return from the break, the conversation continues. Welcome back. So today, Say It Loud team, we are here at the Kaswa Underbridge, the CBD police station, to be specific, the markets around here. And we have here some of the vendors, as you can see here, doing their wares. But Papa, tell me, what at all is it with Kaswa? You say over the years, no, every crime, and now you say armed robbery, or be another time, several criminal activities. What is the problem here? Is it the place? Yeah, as I said, yeah, dissolve Kaswa to say Sodom and Gomorrah now. What is going on in Kaswa?
To me, the me feel say nka yenya baraso ha nka beboa pa because yenya baraso ha nka beboa. To me, the nka me okay pa nti omo mo na baraso mra Kaswa.
In your opinion, what do you think is the cause of the rise in ritual killings within the society, Kaswa to be precise?
No, me sure say sa other TV stations no be on ma omo ba TV so a the way omo see kan and so share ma enkra na eye den esua titumi no ka TV station there ka be on ma enka me eye den ka yanya we.
Okay, Martina, what can I say? But when we say if you to say, right, even before TV stations came, there were ritual killings. How is it that we are now saying TV stations now? Emma
to me, me na me ka say ka baras no mom to baha ana TV stations no and also me hwe say enkwa no hwe a omtimi sua me kura me pene no edu ba bia na ka pese me de ma hwe ko bat nyam student no na my dey ma sa hwe asan.
Let me go to the next question. Papa, what is it with Kaswa? I said Bonibia, you say ABC or Casa, and then you say you can be and then Amro Besako shooting and several other things. Is the issue with Kaswa or what is it?
Kaswa, I don't know. Bribia about na hantesa mo na habie no hakwa bia ya manfra fu bibre abekan ho wa ye te kwan ho ase kura no se wote ha no wa hwe ye kura na de san na afira bi na bedura kwa na ye pa your bag dini ye wasa police for no boa ne se ye nya police for no bi kan ho na tam bia on patrol mantem etimi boa yen nte sa de Kaswa de so bi firi han se edin ya ye bode ya jiwia se afana nyina afa a wo se ye nya bi obeboa yen maka Kaswa no nsemone ye koso no police for no ye boa mo na afi nsemone ntimi kofom.
Do you think it's a security issue?
Yeah, it's a security issue. If it's a security for no go do police for soldier for boom na so mo ye adwuma no wo ha e ma sa ne mabon ne nkoso ha a security issue.
In your opinion, no, apart from security issue, what other thing do you think is causing the increase in ritual killings, money doubling situations?
And as I say, no, so also TV so obehunu na obi ye juju bi behunu na kwala bi kura na behunu dollar bebre ya begu nanim eti se na danfo na so na mo onu fe se so nya sa skali bi no koya na dem hu on say akwala be 15 years na se hu we sa de na di ntrim dam se o so koso no nya sa skali bi sa advert na mo ye ni nyina na so mo yi fie TV ne so yetime boa ya nkasa
unim say as a stance no TV stations no. Apart from that, no. Meaning say Facebook about Oko Facebook about say malam phone and then was send no friend request. Or more YouTube. Inti say TV stations no more cancel. That's what social media. You know you be understand.
Social media for no. Say name bi wo ho a asa be go social media ho no. Omo afie social media ho name na akugu ho ne ade. Say omo cancel fit TV ni so a. Be huru say be huru kwan be fa so be go social media no so. Any ade social media bi wo koto wa. Social media say timi broko no. It didn't say about TV anywhere. TV no kwa chiri social media no say TV anywhere betimi ayi social media there ye ho kwan de no so be fa so.
Jem pa na say na yetimi cut it down on your friend say ritual killing blame situation this and manima.
Media my family say can say o mind bia mpuntuo enkoso bia no sa no mane ba because da bia na obia preso benyes kan tententem ana mpanfo no so omudi anim no o se omutimi di omnansi form na script na o Kaswa na tight because Kaswa kron dey me hu ne se bedu some year bi no ya kan say kron be bokula because e bedu me kron timi mpie wo dem kron timi na e be ba ye be ku physical abonti kron timi ku obi enkoba bia police for na che okura na katamuaso sa no magyawo wali ase nti o se o script na tight e o Kaswa Nampa info no so omoyo man say obema mpuntuo abomman say be ya ede sunjo bebre ya mo kan.
Do you think say Kaswa should be dismantled or leveled like the way Sodom and Gomorrah? Okay, so now Sodom and Gomorrah too was noted for these things and then they cleared the place. Do you think the same thing should happen to Kaswa?
Say na guso abai. I say we put the sense so.
Inti yen treaty Kaswa to Sodom and Gomorrah, among clear Kaswa na.
There be en clear Kaswa but script ni enye be tight. So ya for kra na e be si omo camp ha kra na. There be no mu patrol Kaswa sa say be ya bibia be ba form.
But when that happens no, yemano, how do you sensitize them so that they don't get influenced by some of these temptations? What do you think is causing them to want to go and do rituals to get money?
Say TV stations no e ka ho, radio stations no ka ho, and friends social media account because say bibi koso a awofo no so e premo mo mane hwe because ehun ya se be ma ba na de na wo hwe no TV so de otie no obetie and TV station for no so say obi di sa bibi sa ne ba obi di sa de na ba say mo ya ho avet mama e wo so mo twam o say sa no man na tu ase obi di ko TV station say me yeska duro ha me yesei obenya ska faska bra baji ehun ya se be so so sani pa say etime che no.
So that is for the traditional media, but Yanka social media, how do we control something like that on social media? Because in Colano they use their parents' phone and things to access Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on. How do we control that?
And American say, one say, our phones will be brain account. Ne phone da ho a man ne bana fa or the board game or the brazo uni ma bi sana dia or the phone ye
I didn't know show phone so no kind of chrome. Be play na so fra for na ma we nyina ban because e ban na pia bonten me come na mfom go di agro no de nachi no man go ahead say ko akra de minim sanka ene wan ko school kura na wo fie de wa wo kan utie ade o mo ye no usua bi usua obedi agro kura na obedi no dan obedi no fie enye se omema kwan se obi ampie obi amfa ye say ni nyina ka ho na ma bebre say eba the film Nana.
So this is Nana. Nana sells shoes over here at the Kaswa market around the underbridge. Yeah, watching Say Loud. So tell me, in your opinion, a lot has been said. Some are saying social media parents have to be stand on their children on controlling what they access on social media. Some have also called for a ban of money doublers and people who propagate those things on our traditional TV station. But what do you think?
Yeah, no. Me, for instance, no. And your man, cost with TV so near the other, no. Face cabra, bejiska, send me, namin send you, ne, sanomana. We offended say, ruminati in your man, cost with TV so no. The TV will say, yeah, sanoman won't say, yeah, youth, no. You need this sanoman, you need this sketch. Since Ghana, you need the no. Yem penny for Nangasan and penny for Omonyon. And I am youth no so yen dream penny for ye quiet penina fasoa on way no. Yen ye youth no so ye per se day, ye first on the ADA. It's a more mine Nangasanaka apart from we if any say part we Kaswa for instance Nangasano. A wood jenis are rapes ne Sanomano, a Koso Kaswa rough. Yen ye I can say street boys Nangasana, yen ya comfort bibili Nangasan Tikwan wasi. What I say. But as I'm not told, you bet me will be crowd has say Kunipano. Ye Kunipano call police station now report to her. You better trust the one case I caught say Nipan yeday. Ebra, who civilian no? You still caught say Nipan yeday.
That's the policeman. Sana policeman catch.
Oh, call police station crowd. Bet me I catch say Koko Chinipan ebra. Ebiesi ozongu. What I say? Ye who be a ye Kunipa ye kun be a papa na ye kun mame and as ye kun miabi. Oh, be a wako police station or wako report no. You better trust say. Who watching the pan yeday, ebra. What I say, Ntisano mano, a coso caswasi, who diagro, who do lives, a diagro is here, a becunzi is free, and cobibia, who couple a bebu, and cobibia. And see, Caswani, the best thing is a nya balas and gasanga caswa, nya balas, soja balas, and there's a police station, nya soja balas and gasa caswa. What I say, be overhead, we be a fast service police station. Yeah, Modia we Modia soldier ballast, and I have anything soldier for baby 500. Eguasia, now Mupato, Caswa Crunimina. You won't say no, yeah, Caswa, we any my phone, a safe.
But don't you think, sir, if they bring such a large number of security personnel as Okano, Ebema, Abanko, thinks that their freedom is being infringed on?
Wona wo ye ye friend say wona wo ye we normal person ehun kan but the odi bone no sankrofo no begu kroni mu a omo ambe hu say sankrofo no ma begu kroni mu no omo nti no mo ba nti ono angasa obebo shake ti da me ga wa jase nti ono obebo shake say sankrofo no mo aba no ono nti no mo ba ya me ga na oni me adwin yeah see now I say the best thing no da ma say
we are still scouting around. We'll be speaking to more people who will tell us basically about what they think can be done about this situation. There's a high rate of these killings over here. There's a young man. He looks like he's hip. Tell me, what do you think is causing? What do you think is causing the increase in ritual killings and such activities in the country, using Kaswa as a case study?
Okay, thank you for your question. I think it's lack of job, yeah, because nowadays there's no job in the system and the youth are not getting access to work. So if they are there is no work. They have no option than going for that things.
And how about parents? How do you think parents what role do you think parents can play in all of this? Some people have blamed traditional media for showing or giving the platform for these people to advertise. Others are saying that these people are on social media. I'm sure when you go to Facebook, Twitter, you hear about some of these things. How do parents come in all of this?
Okay, I think parents can advise their children or the youth from those things. But me, according to me particularly, there is lack of job. Because if someone is having work, he will not get time for those things. He will wake up in the morning and go to work.
Have you ever been enticed to participate in it? So have you ever been enticed to say, take your money for it to be doubled, or some malam somewhere has told you that bring this person and you'll be rich?
No.
You've never been tempted to do so?
Yeah, I've been getting some messages, but I don't follow them.
Okay. And why do you think this is so? In your opinion, why aren't you? Do you work?
I'm a student.
You're a student.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes you feel pressure or pressured when you don't have money and things.
Sometimes I feel pressured, but my parents are there, so everything I consult them.
Okay. So for you, it's your parents who have helped you in not indulging in such acts?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. What's your name?
I'm Samuel Jan.
Samuel Jan. All right. So we're speaking to Samuel Jan. Going to this. Bema, your first thing. Tell me, how can we curb the incidence of money doubling, ritual killings?
I think the whole thing is all about work. Yeah, there's no work in the nation. The youth are crying, and the government are not doing anything for the youth.
When you say the government is not doing anything for the youth, what exactly do you mean? Because I know the government has put in systems.
If there is work, no one will waste time and go and sit in front of a screen and watch money doubling people. They will always focus. There's no work. We plead SSS, we plead school, then we are on the street today, hustling for food. But some people will not have time and go and do that kind of things that we are doing on street, because street life is not easy. We are facing a lot of things. And you'll be hard working. You'll be hard or quick money. And you know, no, access now TV station, I bet you access, and you're no beko. Or no beko. And it's a no man who's there, say, or muchaso. Someone to be provided work for the youth now. Say, no man, so it's a muchaso. Because who yes, I know who promote you at the end of the year. Now, go for uncle heading and go search for that thing. I did be answer TV, so be on him say, Papa Antina, who but TV station will be Krabekas or Nakuras or Becas when you ska. Because now only she. That's how the thing goes.
So I have with me Auntie Everything. Tina, with the Capra say a cost of Auntie Tina sells bread here at the Kaswa market. But person may find out from you. Sika Johnny Nasefona, Sesia Abu Busu or Kromono. The bad day na necessary for it to stop or for it to cut down.
The person Monyani say, I was a mama police for no. Or Munya wad, ewo. Or man, you said you bear won't to me. Sikadron to me and cost you too much. Enough, who saw TV? We ya, or Moody who no. Me fees am lanty and share TV, no more cancer answer when I know that man. Or Esha or moon cries or moon quadris, Kaduna or Moya San or man. Into me fees are police for near Wada. Maybe I bet me, or bet me, you won't be Vicacra.
Maybe so over.
Tell me over.
Jenna wo obeya Uma Obano to be tempted, sir, or no so per se, Nehoche now, Bukako Jessica.
Oh, I was a mere Juma. I was a mere Juma now. Said the Abaya will be semi Bibiana, so coast school no be sunny Bibia, met media mano. Into no man, yet Juma no be semi Benament to me and farmer now, obey me, yes, I did.
Say, Oye Juma, na Omano. Now it gets to a point Ubisa now you don't want to give to him because maybe you don't have her. Then what happens? Now Ushia, Namfufua, they are spending big. How do you think he's going to cope?
Enough for one say Yankupo whom in Yakol anymore, and enough for the bit made in Akum.
So how do you think parents then are for a so that children won't be enticed or drawn into such things?
I was saying Nikonqualano. Until we be now on by ya, I was so who said, Wa, baby, I will ban no cobia. I was so now Shanny said, the bear won't to me in Quasati.
Right, so we have been speaking to some residents here at Kaswa CBD, close to the police station, and specifically around the underbridge, been telling us about what they think has given rise to the ritual killings and some of the other vices happening here in Kaswa and by extension in the country.
Hi, my name is Nanama McBrown. I'm proud to be part of GhanaWeb Road Safety Campaign. Please, do the right thing. Save a life. Brim.
Welcome back. This is Say Loud. My name is Lord Harris Eduasari. Today we are in Kaswa, in the central region. We are speaking to some residents here to find out exactly what may be the cause of the increase in ritual killings and some of these vices. I have with me Nana Efrosing.
Ernest Champo.
I have with me Ernest Champo. He's going to tell me Nana also Efrosing.
Samson Mensah Noble.
Great. You see, starting from Champo. What is the root cause of the increase in killings, ritual killings in the country now?
The minimum is ritual killings now. You to Nankasana, Saturday is so many super baby. Now the minimum is a Caribbean or who Dachina or who said Dachino, Ebia or Siadia now, Dachino, Betty and Yeska. And you know, what Nanibu Dachina, no, who said, and that's all be anywhere. Or person of foul roots, a quite bias or the bed, Ebeneska because so school and Casa or school no, or school was a bit that one by a stress. You know, this is what they don't call deep politics, and that's a chance of one. So when you are doing bias and mere school American baby, I am mere Majuma. In some bed, I quite about fast one Casa, a bet me a survival no, and away until Obia Pentem and Yano. I didn't try. One who's in the car. You need to be a nurse. No go cry when you're nurse. But them say you be anyone to know. Obe force say we didn't be nurse. Obe force say obe talker. Obe force say obe say. Enti young say you no proper future. I'm my future leaders. And I say you cry no ban you no proper you no proper arrangement more. Enti one say na so be any baby. I just want fight it. And sana when you be there any you come first fight it. So when you know so we do people we come first also be nyane dey agunu botom. Ene hia. Enti me hu say adwuna ye to toward their tour say nchirima ba befa no ye nya bi nto enti wono onyina woni say obi ameboa no enti wono na so fight e pedisika free ho eno na akoso sa na ma we bebrebe because sakra na akọ school na me fan say ogina be obi a was 17 years me fan say obek SS2 ana say SS1 nka afa na nka o sua dia SS oba out wa we be ya adwuma pesika no nko fight or pesa scan in terms of the code because what him say anya bia me school cry me women say no dwuma me ya anya bi obo school no na street me ya phone chairman me ya ton phone ka so nyina me na me di o manim na so no baba obi pa dwuma o school obi kuta masters wo nya dwuma nya wo ba ne so ya tell ya ne ya hard ya ne ko pe busan kakra na de ba dey abeton ade obi hunu sa ba obi so baka say e kwa nko fa mu gina kwa ton ade no ebi mu o ska ebi mu yesi so wonim de ya nya ska no to so pentom ya de enya bi enti ye mpani so bon bebe baba mpani fo so won nya proper arrangement em my future leaders ya o me ba no say akwa na woko school no so owie school no benya adwuma ye ana ono ade adwuma ade na wo sie na school e be ye na adwuma be bibia ya kwa theory draw abebe oko draw abebe na wo lay pass o school ma emfa hwem law emfa table mesi wo duane so ne mo mchira akwa na say adwuma be o free school ba kwa na say wonya adwuma bia nya obetima ye adwuma obe di akwa na no enye de chese ko draw abebe ko draw plako na lay pass eno emfa hwe emma e wo Ghana mto ye mpani fo no mo nya de a abema enkwa no e wo se dache e wo ho a omo ye omo wie school obetima nya adwuma de aye.
Thank you, Champo. I'll hold you there. Something. Do you agree with what the Champo is saying? He's blamed it on leadership failure. What do you think?
I also support what he said. What we are going through now is our leadership failure. Even the Bible says, train a child the way he should go. When he grows, he will never depart from the right way you train him. Today, what are we saying? The children are living on their own. We don't punish the child. What are we teaching them? If we teach them the good things, they will grow up and do the good things. But we don't train the children. They will just go to school, they come out, they eat. Even in school, they don't punish children. In our days, they lay people on table. When they lay you for the first time, you won't do such wrong again.
But we are talking about how to prevent this in the first place. How do we do that?
If parents take good steps, they have to teach their children what to do. If you don't teach the children what to do, they will do what they want to do. So it's leadership failure that is causing the whole nation. We have tried one system before, and we are now trying another system. So if the system we are practicing now won't help us, we have to change for the old one. To me, the old system will help the country more than now what we are training.
When you say the old system, what exactly do you mean?
The old system, those days, even different parents can punish another parent child. These days, we are not seeing that things. Even in school, when a teacher punishes a student, the parent will attack the teacher. Meanwhile, the teacher is training the boy to be good for you, the family. We don't see that time. If a child go to the right way, they will say he has his right. What from that right? One man's right, it's causing another person. So we have to have a plan for the youth. When a youth cause crime, he have to be punished. They should punish the youth. For others to know that if I do this mistake, this is the punishment I will go through. But we have some people, they say he has the right. They will let the children go free. Another child will copy. And even he will do more than what the first child did.
What do you make of calls to ban content or persons who take part in the money doubling and advertising themselves in the traditional media?
In Ghana, we have so many pastors. What are they doing? We have leaders. What are they doing? They have to tell the children, this is the right way. If we train the children very well, if they won't go to those juju people. If you train your child with Bible, he won't go to that juju. So we have to train the children well. And we should let them know this is the path you should lead. And if you show them the good path, we won't see these things anymore.
So charity begins at home.
Charity begins at home, as you are saying. We, the parent, we have an assignment to do. If you don't do our homework well, this is what we'll be seeing. Even the children will later kill with the parent for money, as we are seeing. So we have to talk to our children very well.
Great. Tell me, I see you're selling phones. You're making a great deal of money. You're doing well. How do you think all this can be heard? We have suggestions that we should go back to the old days when my parents or my mom can discipline you for misbehaving and your dad can beat me when he sees me doing wrong. Do you think that will help solve the menace we are in now?
No. It's not possible. It can't be possible.
How?
You see, like now, like when say no yakoenim. Obi ba ebia the way obe bono no. Ne man like awe ebia other we parent enye ne nje won say like the way obo ne ba no. Obe bu no man abro so. So what you say be ko fan say me bra banti ne de ntumi mmoa. So like obe ba dabe and de ntumi mmoa.
According to you, what do you think will help? What steps do you think we can take to curb the incidents of ritual killings and people going to seek the help of these money doublers and all those things?
Like Saski do not say no one say youth need bleedy. So what you say for now, youth need bleedy. Scan you. Obi be ko bre obenya best 100 cities, ebia 20 cities, obe establish bibi so like oye ejuma. Obe ejuma ade be chon be shedwa, o metete ne pana buy for ba we see nti ne pana so be frustrated. O so bi tikam na dan for bi tikam, o so feel so be so twika ne bi. obe so live luxurious life obe so like o feel okay so what you say nipa ne ba kwan obeton ade nso a ye nto ade adwuma ni won imagine say hweka so akakraka we nyina ye ni even company ba ko krampo ono ma obega so company we like eye adwuma obega so youth eye adwuma da bi company bi ene ka so no mpo like obega so ebe fa manfo be adwuma menya we bi kakra de ben edinti ekwan bi a obefa so benye sika no obeye.
So because of that, some are saying that it's the leadership that have failed. They're saying that parents have failed, pastors have failed. They are not advising and educating people enough. The school system is failing. Do you think that is the case?
Obia na afemudi, aban na afemudi, pastors yom afemudi, parents yom afemudi. But the thing is, nipa no onye jumaye. Oh, at the moment when you do best 18, 19, you know, like who feel say who atare a e ofa opesa oto. Won bibia obehu bia ye we bia opesa oto. Wadan for kuta phone. Won so o phone we me femi besa me to. So what you say? Enti nipa no besa like oye bibi. Won na nsa tumi kona no. E bia we wie school parent e man pressure. So like o page jumaye. Ejuma ni wonti den obeye. Ade obeye an say like every way say me bi obefa so betuma nyeska bia na obeye. Say tu no betwi a obetwi tu. Nipa no be kokun no ja akodi skeduru a. Fine. And I'm all about so more TV station, radio stations, almost mass uncle for our queens are like Omonia adverts, TV stations, like some go monina, net chichis, our owners in Kotum. Because I know one money panel coins are like on your side, and can pan to me because like of Akodi schedule.
But you do know that say Bane the TV station, the traditional TV stations from doing those things are. Say I know some crowd they are coming into your DMs on Facebook or more YouTube pages and Twitter, and no, how do we keep that?
Or say like one for Nipado do saying no mutiminya time call Facebook so like or share san mano Nipado do saying but more na obi oti akwala oti TV won hwe TV no we hu Nipa na number 2 obe peke na ma no mo say say akwala no so ya ba no so ya adwe na mu do betuma capture we how do you call it na ma no onya capture eno anu no obe frɛ o fa be bra yesi obe try so be ade bi obe bia like obe okay bia e bia scan fie wo ebusuane bre nti ade bi obe bia obe yi ebusuane fi sa ha mo no like obe try so be reben obe yeah the friend Charles yeah
boso eden akoso
oh bibia woko
then I am here to stop the incidents of ritual killings and people going to money doublers and fetish priests and co. What do we do?
Oh, I need a question. Nearby says, Sisiano, I would say fraud by no. A mama chrono a war gun in a blast because you to know. Biblino, Omufilis or mere fraud, no moon, Juman, any other, don't mean Omufilis or mere fraud. On our shadem no. I see a fraud, Nazi and Susisiano, police for no, this are more higher. Edians, you know more house as I disc. Any police for any disc because Edian or Chua, Edian or Betua or Bejuska.
You don't see anything wrong with the fraud in the youth is doing?
Sorry?
You don't see anything wrong with the fraudulent acts the youth is involved in?
Oh, fraud, they made me who say Bonnie because Juma and a Juma be a Juma Bible say Juma a disc blow. Be a Juma. If you chrono a brew scan a Juma and a fraud is when you say Ubenska a Juma pa
if you do that you are endorsing illegitimate ways of getting money. Okay, say fraud Juma obi yanchina Juma will have a disorderly society, don't you think so?
Oh, that one is true, but
so you shouldn't be endorsing activities like that.
Oh, but I also say youth no adwuma nu omo and adwuma nu omo and as say youth no be fraud na na but as say fraud na no sisi police for no omo na FBI aye baako sisi we no omo chewa sisi una ma na police na ehia o adwuma be na we Ghana am adwuma dodo sen na e wo Ghana ha mo police ni tumi sia adwuma be na we nti ama sisi no mo sia wa app baako mo hu phone so etumi chew hangout only that app hangout no police ni hu phone so etumi chew no last year me ko business e wo Galleria market police ni di me tia abeche mo am from ejim 200 cedis
aden
o se we hu hangout e hu me phone so
hangout mo de den
app and say app say WhatsApp ya chat.
Say I police need be chill because you have hangouts on your phone.
I say I'm chatting with a white person, a fraud na me into watch me or the 200 cedis. But I be a nipa na menen cause an unim relationship with women in him. In this because of say fraud na mo be chen dia. This schedule ni send dia me nam na wusia me aduma be na me ma ko schedule and say you want to mention me.
Have you ever indulged in fraud before?
Sorry?
Have you ever indulged in fraud before?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And who influenced you to do it?
Oh, why? That one, no be anyone who go influence you. If you are a boy, you know, because it's like fraud. It starts with friendship, pen pal. Yeah, like meeting a friend, talking to the person and chatting with the person. It's like a pen pal, normal pen pal as a friendship. But now, no. Sisi ana akọ echira sisi akọ do say sisi I didn't do ne omo didn't do na ade we ma sisi akọ ese aban in bad ways into police ni hu kura to mecho sisi ano fraud police ni to sia wa no obo search bi o phone no on search o phone no so into sisi ana say ye je sakawa na disk duro na wo sia na obsem na aduma be na ya na ma disk duro a ene untumi nchime ene me fa ho me ko nti eno sisi ana say fraud no na makona blast na se mumpa ye be schedule no ye be schedule no ye be se mumpa fraud no ye be schedule se you say fraud no mumpa because say fraud na musia ye number search your phone app ba ko mutum tie e na say na mumpa fraud no ye be schedule e na schedule so enyo bia so na ekunipa e di schedule there was so many ways e di schedule nti ye be schedule why
but this conversation we are having here is to prevent people from indulging in sikejo because enobina
since an aduma nu omo obi youth bebre obi awie university cloth fi onya aduma nye and as this ano pressure na ekoso no edoso boys pressure doso e social media me ni Facebook account because okọ ma bon say young boy akola kitikiti ma send friend request ma say o post me show boy me pressure am for me and I'm angasa me new personal Facebook account nti me social media we no pressure for mo social media dey na sa we akonfo no mobile TV so ne sa schedule ne den no me we sa akonfo na say sa ka mo na TV stations no mo sa akonfo no bo kra say mo close sa stations ni na because hu paso be nya free mo so.
This is the case where you are saying that you, for example, why a fraud thing and you didn't require TV to engage in fraud. So how will closing of the TV stations help stop this?
Maybe they are no a different way. Fraud a different way. I have fraud. Ghana a grammar matter. Afro be mobile money na di na. One day fraud.
In the assistance now, if you get a good paying job, will you stop defrauding people?
Oh, me to me a man say Juma. Seriously. Because me a street boy. Me a pre-money. Me to me a street. Me to me a man say Juma. Me man say Juma. They mean to me yes.
Ejuma bena unya anga obey apart from fraud.
Yeah, street na ya dano nim ne ya pe street nso. Ente ya Juma ya be ya na man na.
Yeah na pe street.
O de bia na me ade na me kan jo. Obi a woni e mo de na ma asase we so. Inti man say Juma no afiasa me kwatra man na obe mam 3 million 4 million. There be bra ma me check ya enso me.
There are entrepreneurs, there are small businesses who don't wait till the end of the month.
Yes small business yes ya yin sika film. Inti ma obi adwuma so de yes yempe. Yenim yes we dey yin di sika film. Yes small business ya yin sika film. Inti obi dey lala.
Inti is it something that you are going to stop once it's an illegal act?
Sisi ana e wa no de se mpenufo no mu hu yansa ebiebie ndwuma ebebre ma ya youth no meja sa ade ni na sikeduro ne sa afro no meja no ma aweke hard se mo beye edwuma ba sisi edwuma ni nu omo edwuma ni nu nti sa no me why enti sikeduro ne mo ya den ye beje
Why?
You heard about the 10-year-old boy who was killed in Kaswa here, right? And you heard that recently there's been an increase in ritual killings. And then how do you think, in your opinion, what do you think can be done to stop this from going on?
I think we the youth, we have to be in school. Like, all is peer pressure. The cause of all this is peer pressure. So, for me, my idea, I think the government should cancel the double track system so that we all the youth, we can be in school by now. So we won't be at home making the interest in money rituals, making money, because all is from peer pressure. Because he has seen his colleague has money and his colleague is selling in cars and stuff, so he also wants to be in the same situation. So my idea is it's from peer pressure. So the only way we can stop this is to be in school by now. We are all supposed to be in schools.
You are not in school and you are home. How do you think your parents can help you so that this peer pressure does not get to you?
All the parents should be, the advice should be from our parents. They should force their children to stay at home, not to be going to other friends to play and other stuff. And that's all we have to, like the parents have to advise their children just to stay at home with them.
What do you think? How do you stop this?
Even when we are not in school, we should, maybe you are in the house, you can find a work to do. Like maybe some small business.
Small business like that? Yeah. Your school going age, how old are you?
17.
You're 17. Okay, so if you're not in school and you're home, what are some of the small jobs you think you can do so that you not be enticed to go and approach a fetish priest?
Okay, for me, I attend technical school, so when I come, I can maybe go to someone who will help me with maybe technical students, like who will help me in those fields, so I can learn more.
You've heard from residents of Kaswa on what they think may have given rise to the proliferation of ritual killings and other vices here and by extension in the country. Among other things, they have cited lack of jobs, failure of government institutions, and failure of leadership as some of the reasons why this has been going on. This has been another edition of Say It Loud. My name is Lord Harris Idwasari. Do join us for our next edition.
And principalities.
There's so much fire inside me.
Tragedy struck when part of the largest hillside at the kosher rubbish dump collapsed.
It's going to be fun to see how he goes about approaching this game.
We table issues relating to the arts and entertainment for a riveting discussion, of course, without fear nor favor.
The question the presenter asked them was a dumb question. You need to speak the part and move.
Varied views. We agree to disagree.
So I would disagree with everything you said. I think that he's a smart guy. I think what he did.
No, but I also said he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
I guess that I'm waiting for the what next.
Yeah, I don't think that we have to wait for what next.
It sometimes gets confrontational, but that's the beauty of the game.
Today you are denying funny face. It's not my brother. Today you denying funny face. I don't know him. You don't know funny face. It's not my brother. You don't know funny face.
It's a package. We meet, we sit, we dialogue, we learn, we progress. My name is Benefo Wabin Abrantepa, a proud blogger, and this is my forum.
From the dawn of time, people have engaged in several businesses. With the onset of technology and innovation, life has relatively been made easier. By using debit or credit cards,
mobile banking.
Thank you. And your favorite, mobile money?
tech has indeed married business. On BizTech, we spend time with faces behind known and upcoming businesses in the country.
Learn more about the new technologies and innovation,
as well as find out about the trending issues in the world of business.
Join us as we serve you with a variety of compelling interviews, projects, and others right here on GhanaWeb TV.
To be a side chick is no joke. The person calls you, you have to be there. The person's wife appears, you have to be in character.
I don't think there's anything like a committed relationship is relationship. You don't have to put the tag committed and uncommitted.
You start the talking terms with a woman and you want to start off at places you don't even go there to eat. Probably you buy wache by the gutter at a zongo. But because you want to impress the lady, you start off at KFC.
Why would you even let your girlfriend come and stay in your house? Are you married to her? Is it her responsibility to come and stay in your house? Why don't you call your sisters to come and stay in your house?
Hello, how are you? Okay, I was checking up on you. And that's normal thing that is so annoying to some of us. Have you eaten? You call it in the morning, have you eaten? In the afternoon, have you eaten? In the evening, my dear, you a chef.
Hello and welcome to yet another exciting edition of People and Places here on GhanaWeb TV. You know, on this show we don't only bring you a blend of culture or different places we visit, we also bring you unique stories of amazing people doing amazing stuff. And today I'm happy to bring to you the story of a young chef who has been doing wonders with his organization Food for All Africa. I'll tell you all about it when we return from this breather. And later in the show, we have a surprise you don't want to miss. My name is Wanda Amihigan. We'll be right back. Welcome back from that quick break. We are in the kitchen and you already see my guest. We are speaking to Elijah Amu Ado. He's a chef, like I already told you. And good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you
doing? I'm okay.
Yeah, you're welcome to the Kitchen of Hope.
Kitchen of Hope. You named your kitchen.
Yes, it signifies hope to a lot of people out there, and so for us, letting the people who work here know the importance of what is not just food, it goes beyond it.
Have you always wanted to be a chef?
Well, growing up, my childhood ambition was to become a medical doctor.
Okay.
Yes, but I was very close to my mom, and my mom was a caterer. She cooked a lot. And growing up, I remember somewhere age 8, 9, what happens is anytime she cooks, because I'm mostly closer to her, I get to taste it before anybody else tastes, and I give feedbacks. So that was where my passion for food, cook, actually came from. But it wasn't until after I lost my parents at a tender age and had to look at what I can be beyond my dreams and aspirations.
Which age are we?
That's about 11, thereabout. At tender age of 10, my mom died. A year later, my dad, and we were left in the care of my grandmom and auntie. So it was actually in Nigeria that I got to see my passion for cooking. And that also was through an accident.
Nigeria? You
Yes.
grew up in Nigeria?
Yes, part of my life was in Nigeria. After losing my parents, I had to go and stay with my auntie to do my junior secondary school in Nigeria. And I remember back then, my sisters were back with my auntie in my grandmom in Ghana, and I was staying with my auntie in Nigeria. And sometimes my grandmom would call and complain, things are a bit difficult. So looking at what I can do as the only boy to help my sister's education, I decided to take up a job while still in JSS. I was in JSS 2 by then, so I took up a cleaning job in a restaurant called Spins around Ikeja. And usually from school I'll go clean, and then somewhere 10, 11 on weekends till 1 a.m. I close and I go home. I was fortunate to find myself in the kitchen, and I kind of admire what the chefs, the cooks were always doing in the kitchen. But one day when I was towards my final year to write my junior secondary certificate examination, as they call it, BCE in Ghana, I remember a Sunday prior to a Monday before going to write that exams. We delayed at work so much, and I had to be washing pans and loads of pans. So in a hurry to go home, there was this pan that had a sauce in it. I took it, threw the sauce away, and then washed the pan. As I was washing it, the chef walked in, and just seeing me with the bowl, got so furious. Who asked you to throw away my sauce? Who asked you to? You asked? So as he was shouting, he started throwing plates at me. He got very angry. So when he threw a plate at me, I started crying. I was just crying. Then I busted out. Do you think if my mom was to be alive, I would be here cleaning whilst my colleagues are learning for exams tomorrow? So that statement, out of the crying, made the chef to now understand the reason why at that young age of about 12 years by then, being a cleaner in his restaurant. And after that, he had a conversation with me. Apparently, he also had a similar childhood where he lost his parents. So there was that connection. And so it was through that accident, that incident, that he became a mentor to me. At a point, he opened up his kitchen for me. All he needed to do was tell me what he wants to prepare. And when he tells me, I want to do mayonnaise, the next thing, I'll pick up all the ingredients he needs for a mayonnaise onto the working table for him. And then he will cook what he wants to cook. And that was where the interest for cooking started from.
That's a very interesting story. How long have you been doing this?
I've been cooking for the past 15 years. Yes, because from the age of 12, I was already in the kitchen whilst I was in my junior secondary school in Nigeria. Then after my JSS, I had to come back to Ghana to come and work with come in school. So I attended St. Thomas Aquinas, Bebe, to be specific. And after that, I did general science with the hope that I will still be able to become my childhood ambition.
Why general science?
Because growing up, I wanted to become a medical doctor. So in spite of all the challenges, I still held on to that aspiration that one day I will be able to become. But after secondary school, the challenge of going to medical school came up, and it was a difficult one. I got good grades. However, my relatives who were going to help, my extended family, Most of them were suggesting things that were far away from my dreams. Some were like, oh, you can become a journalist. Some were like, you can become a teacher. Through being a teacher, you will be able to get allowance. And so the decisions were so many, I was confused at that point. And I saw being the doctor would be difficult. So I spoke with my mentor back in Nigeria, and he asked me to come back and work with him to figure out what I really want to do with my life.
Your chef mentor, you mean?
Yes, my chef mentor. So I went back. And then after we had that discussion, I actually realized working in the kitchen, I'm a doctor in the kitchen. So a lot of my colleagues and friends who knows me growing up actually call me the doctor in the kitchen, because we still wear the same whites. We cook food, and food is medicine. It's the most natural medicine you can think about. So, hey, I'm still living my dream of being a doctor in the kitchen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so at which point did Food for All Africa come in?
Yes, so at a point in my career as a chef, I decided to come back home, and I was fortunate to get a job with a hotel around Reach as a chef. I came back from after schooling, working in Nigeria for some time. I came back to Ghana, and I was a chef de partie in that hotel. And whilst working there, my job was to get to work very early. By 4:30, 5, 6, I need to be at work. So one of that occasions, I saw this mentally disabled man who comes to where we keep our trash bin, pick all the leftover foods that we threw away, then puts it in small bags. Then he goes under the Nima overhead, the bridge under the Nima overhead. He goes there, hand over the food that he picks. Because when I cross in the afternoon, I still see him giving food to people. Then I realized it wasn't only our restaurant, our hotel that he comes to. He actually goes round Ridge, Osu, where the posh, the residential and then hotels and restaurants, to pick edible leftover wasted food from trash bins, and then goes feeding his colleagues on the streets. Wow. So when I saw this was what he was doing, one morning I came into touch with him at our workplace. And so I decided to ask him, Nana, Adentina, ya usisendriana now they are comma. Meaning, why do you pick leftover foods for your colleagues on the street? And his response to me was, Semanya, why never? It made me start thinking consciously that finding myself in where we work with food, we waste a lot of food. What can I do? So we started off with, instead of throwing away the food into the trash bin, we'd rather bag it. When he comes, we hand it over to him.
When you say we, who are you talking?
So myself and my colleagues at the hotel by then. I also spoke to other chefs that I know at that point in other places. So now they started giving me, I had to be picking the leftover foods and then giving it to him to give to his people on the streets. So at a point we started what was known as Chefs for Change Ghana Foundation, where I mobilized chefs to connect excess food from the industry to be given to vulnerable people who don't have purchasing power. And it was so inspirational. As the day went by, I got more attracted to what I was doing than cooking for those who can afford. So at that point, I had to make the decision between doing this full time and then as well doing it by the side. And I realized food waste was not limited to just the hospitality industry. I spoke with suppliers and realized they had the same challenge. I spoke with different stakeholders within the supply chain. Then we realized that the problem of food waste is everywhere. And so we decided to start Food for All Africa in 2015.
what does Food for All Africa do as an organization?
So we are operators of West Africa's first and largest food bank in Ghana. When I say food bank, it's a model that thrives very well across Europe and other parts of the world. Food banking is such that it is a place where food that is in excess along the supply chain, be it from manufacturing companies, be it from factories, be it from importers, along the food supply chain, due to some restrictions, laws and stuff, there are some food products that are perfectly edible. However, it cannot get to the table where it will be bought. And so what happens is, most often than not, people who work within that sector have to throw those food away. Let me give you a typical example. If I'm an importer of corned beef or food from any part of the world, per the laws of FDA, if the food is coming to Ghana, the inscriptions on the can has to be written in English. But most often, the company where you are importing the food from produces for other countries, and sometimes by mistake they will send to you in Ghana the product, but it might be labeled in French or another language. And because of what the law says, you as an importer cannot sell that food. So what happens? There's a perfectly edible food, but just because of labeling mistake, they have to throw it. And we're talking about tons of food. Take a fresh marketing company like the shopping mall. Sometimes there are some sizes of fruits and vegetables that they look out for. If the fruit and vegetable doesn't meet that size, it cannot get on the shelf. So what happens? A perfectly edible food is thrown away. And that is where we come in as operators of West Africa's first and largest food bank, to connect those perfectly edible foods to, first and foremost, vulnerable, incapable of working people. Okay. So we're talking about aged, disabled, community charities. We connect this food to these people by way of food boxes, meaning we give them ingredients on a large scale to use at their various homes. Or we do what we call the hot meals program, where from this kitchen on a weekly, twice a week basis, we cook hot meals and then go onto the street and give to those who are homeless and can't afford food. Someone will say it's just food, but at the end of the day, by giving them food, they open up to us. They tell us what their stories have been, what their struggles has been, what their aspirations were. And food makes that magic to come about. And for me, it is more of a blessing than any other thing you can ask of.
So we are still on the conversation, and we hit the streets with a team from Food for All Africa. And their mission is to look for the vulnerable, poor and needy who are hungry and feed them with one hot meal for today. They are serving them curry rice and egg stew, and we already have a lot of people queuing up. This is just to give our viewers a fair idea what this organization does on the ground. If we get the opportunity, we'll speak to some of these beneficiaries to find out their thoughts and experiences as far as the program is concerned. What's your friend saying?
From Derek.
Derek is saying.
Yamina Domo.
What's it? I have a baby.
Mutikanda Estate.
Now, where are you going to man?
Okay, then we should make a man saying Yama Cosonti. Ya chokia hundi yami bayama.
Who is saying, how does it help you?
Okay, Jumadino, make us a yami kwan ebua. On say mass street, the bring a benefit free. Because the bring all Munya Jumaya. It is a Brianibis Basia or bit me dino the funny margin. Like I'll be able to my baby so or many one like a baby and someone so being in Uchino.
Never in ya say anyway and I'll obey.
Okay, like a baby because in this year weekend, it's a man for your mobile and my home behind there.
Timisumi can manage coming with their food for Ghana bet my
What's it? I have
Diana de Bua de Cranabin to where man of a body being a BB. Then I mean Shrom, then I mean, they said the Biomoba. Answer, Lord Dan and Conomo by Lord Dan, you tell me let you no moba. Ubia or ba Lord Dan into no bar, now we would dear, the Biomoba. Until Yamani a bomb pious friend said, or more musica, no more musica. Then he have for no more blend, Bibria than Ewo. Yen sign, they be a winnie pa, until they be a here for so. Until Nippo Betty been coming in February, yam work crack. No more when you have one coins on a baby bread. I had no be to me that so you have one higher police for high, Nanson or qua, and for no benya be an yedi. Until higher, near that ye be until a dalmassic, so the beyond boy.
Where do you live here, around here?
I can sleep outside though.
Okay. And what do you do for a living?
Me? What I'm doing? I do this one, digging, stretching.
So that's what you do when you...
Yeah, to eat. You see my farm?
How long have you been doing this for?
Since 2012.
And where did you come from to stay here?
Yeah, from Isiama.
Why did you choose to do this? Is it that you're not getting any other work to do?
That's it.
And how did you get to know about Food for All Africa?
Well, somebody showed me that I should come and collect food. But that day, no. Now our second time. Okay. But this week he came here 2 times. The first time I came collect some. The program is very good. Then helping people who are hungry like us. Don't get money to buy food.
So those were the testimonies of some beneficiaries of the Food for All Africa program. For some of them, but for this program, they would barely have had anything to eat today. And so we'll go back to continue the conversation with Chef.
So we provide vocational training and support to most of our beneficiaries. School feeding in Ghana is an important aspect of improving education. But the challenge for government has been how to run it effectively. So we also operate a school feeding program for schools that are currently not under school feeding program, under government school feeding program. We provide them with ingredients on a monthly basis. As well, we build kitchens for them in their school to enable them to at least have a place within their compound so that they will be able to provide one hot meal internally from their own compound to the children.
You've mentioned that people donate things that they are unable to use, which will go waste eventually. But you building for a community and getting fresh vegetables to cook, how do you get your resources, your funding?
Well, our funding comes from different sources. We get some funding from grants. We get some from benevolent donations, people who believe in the work we do. And sometimes too, we get funding from people who have benefited from the work we do. Let me give you a typical example. Years back, we were providing hot meals to a group of people at the Independence Square. And there was this particular young man who walked up to us after we've given him a meal. He came back to me and was like, "Sir, can I have another pack of meal so that I will eat that tomorrow morning? Because if I don't get it, I don't know what I will feed on tomorrow morning." And I said, we need to make sure everybody gets some of the food. So unless we finish sharing and there is excess before we'll be. He turned back, walked away, went to sit in the seats at Independence, and he looked very disappointed. He was actually sad and crying at a point. So I decided, let me get this food to him. I gave it to him and that was it. Years later, we were a friend of